戦争は変わった。一つの時代が終わり、俺たちの戦争は終わった。
War has changed. It's no longer about nations, ideologies, or ethnicity. It's an endless series of proxy battles fought by mercenaries and machines. War and its consumption of life has become a well-oiled machine. War has changed. Verified soldiers carry algorithmic arms, manipulate social influence, AI enhance and regulate their timelines. Memetic control, information control, emotion control, battlefield control. Everything is monitored and kept under control. War has changed. The age of deterrence has become the age of control, all in the name of averting catastrophe from weapons of mass destruction. And he who controls the battlefield controls history. War has changed. And when the battlefield is under total control, war becomes routine.
Think outside the cage.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Tour.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is April 20th, 2026. We're live to tape on episode 933. And today, ENOCH-ROMANCY. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil, and you are not crazy.
And my name is Gonz, at Face Like the Sun, director of the Age of Deceit films, and author of Archetypalism, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, live to tape from the metaverse to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. It is Monday.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
And it is episode number 33.
Illuminatus!
Yes.
933.
Oh, yeah, 933. Sorry. And yeah, 33 plus 900. There you go.
Yeah.
And
Very good.
today, actually, it's April 20th, which means some people are celebrating a plant. But more importantly, it's the birth of Adolf Hitler. 1889. He would have been, I don't know, old.
Whatever.
He would have been very old if he got his dream of Ubermensch. It's also the, I guess, I don't know if it's a holiday, not a holiday. I don't know. It's been like 30 years since the Columbine shootings.
Oh, that
was
one.
that. Yeah, I remember that when I think I was a teenager when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think very appropriately, 2010, Ancient Aliens, Episode 1, Deepwater Horizons Explosion aired. So there you go. The beginning of the Tsoukalos thing.
Mm-hmm.
2010 seems late, doesn't it? Feels like Ancient Aliens was even older than that, but there you go. That's what it says on the Canary Cry calendar.
And Weed Day is not even mentioned. That's hilarious.
I said some people are celebrating a plant. I mean, is that enough? Do you want more?
No,
You
I must have
want
blacked out.
more?
I didn't hear you.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
probably-
start paying attention to the show until about 3 minutes in.
That's true.
But yeah, big day. Okay, it is interesting. They kind of keep adding stuff to it, and perhaps it's getting added retroactively. We're kind of used to that these days. Continuing to pile on notable events far back into the future.
It's a good day to pile on stuff, though, because half the people are going to forget it. You know what I mean, from the plant thing. So
Sure,
it makes sense to put on a bunch of stuff on April 20th, and then
it does make it.
most people pay attention.
It makes it maybe not suspicious. It makes it complicated for anybody trying to like celebrate Weed Day or whatever. to be celebrating on Hitler's birthday and Deepwater Horizon and all this other
Columbine
crazy stuff.
shooting,
The Columbine
started
shooting.
the
Yeah, it's like
gun control blood ritual in
there's
America. Yeah,
enough. There's like enough negative, horrible things on the day. It should really be totally outweighing how people feel on Weed Day.
yeah, it's true.
That's hilarious.
It's true, but
right.
you know, it was kind of a crazy weekend, but there was a lot of news, not necessarily crazy news, but I think news in our wheelhouse, I would say at the very least. And you know, a lot of these stories today pertain to Trump, at least in an adjacent way. It's not like directly Trump news all the time, but do you want to jump right into some of the stuff here, Basil? I think anything
Yeah,
else you want
sure. Well, it's interesting because, of course, if you're new to the show, welcome. You're in the right place. If you're not new to the show, you've been with us for a decade and a half. Like, I don't know, perhaps most of our people, the people who are left, have been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Part of the exciting thing, the thing we're invited to be, I don't know, at least engaged in, if not excited about, is watching the world catch up to all the crazy, I don't know, just the data points of the Canary Cry theory of everything. And today is an exciting day because, once again, this is starting to happen pretty often. But we've got some updates from culture and unfortunately politics and things like that, that is just lining up all the dominoes in exactly the right way. And of course, as Christians, as people paying attention, it's easy to recognize and lament the sort of evil nature, the rebellious nature of our culture, the culture that, exalts sin or things at least that are not conducive to human flourishing and belittles or runs from virtue. But then in recent history, we've been seeing a strange sort of revolution, and the question maintains, why and how would they let this sort of reversal happen? And of course, the easy answer is usually just the beast system, but all part of the sort of narrative being built around culture and our American future, things like that. And so among all the madness of the world, Trump made a promise to bring religion back to America.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did. He promised a new age too.
We will launch a new age.
But maybe the new age is biblical or something?
It's got to be biblical.
We often say people don't read their Bibles, Basil.
People don't even read their Bible, for heaven's sake.
Not anymore. This is according to MSN.com, mirroring a Fox News article. I got the little signal here that the computer thing the audio's not going to work, which might be an issue here. But the headline is Trump set to read scripture from the Oval Office during America Reads the Bible event starting Sunday. So I think they started this yesterday.
Yeah.
I think they're reading through the entire Bible. And it's really interesting because I had this thought maybe 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to my wife and some church people about it. And I thought, hey, it would be really kind of cool to do a Bible reading just all the way through the Bible and do like a live stream of it. And I'm not even joking. I didn't know anything about this America Reads the Bible. I thought it was a good idea because I was tasked to read the readings at church on, I think it was last or maybe 2 Sundays ago. And the pastor that was preaching that day just had me read the entire Psalm. I think it was Psalm like 31 or something, the whole thing. So I'm up there and I read all of Psalm 31 as the first reading of the day. And
How
that's
long
not
did that
including
take?
that was probably like 5 minutes for everything. It wasn't that long. I mean, all things considered, it wasn't that long, but it's only supposed to be 3 or 4 verses here and there. And it just happened to be super long. But
And the fun thing about this particular America Reads the Bible, this is America Reads the Bible in a week. This is not a read the Bible in a year event, right?
who has a year? Who's got a year? You these plans and stuff. No, we're We're going to shove it into everyone's ears and eyeballs in 1 week, right from the White House there, or the Oval Office.
That's a commitment. That's like a monastic, task to sit and read the whole thing in a week. Very impressive. What does Fox
there's
News say about it?
There's some information about this event, and of course, it's very fascinating that we have been podcasting since the Obama days. Okay, just for context's sake. So we have seen the topic of Christianity, of the Bible, all these different things become, or from the very fringes and ostracized and really pushed out of politics and pushed out of culture to becoming or returning, I suppose, as like the main focus of society, or at least American culture and, civil society. And so doing something like this isn't terribly surprising, but there's always something strange when it becomes governed and political. So here's a lady. I don't know what this lady's name is. I should have looked at it beforehand, but it's
like
a lady,
representative of the
she's
program.
Yeah, she's representing this event, and here's what she said.
When we were establishing, what portions of scripture we're going to give different ministries that we're signing on, we put aside about 20 hours of the Bible reading for celebrities and elected officials. And as my director and I, Jamie Thompson, were praying over different sections of scripture, it came to us that we needed somebody special to read 2 Chronicles chapter 7, because it's such a critical passage for the body of Christ. It comes at a time where the Israelites were experiencing hardship, and God spoke and said, if my people that are called by my name would humble themselves and pray. We've prayed this scripture for at least the last 50 years of American history on National Day of Prayer and other segments of our faith walk and prayer walk in this country. And so we instantly just said, who needs to read that is the President of the United States. So we set it aside for him, and we've been praying for that for the last year, and we're really honored that he would read it. America Reads the Bible. We are doing it in the King James Version Easy Read. It is published by Whitaker House. They blessed us with a Bible license for the event, for the live stream, for social media, for every use. And this will be an audio and video Bible on the back end as well. So everybody's reading in the same translation for copyright purposes. And we're very thankful for Whitaker House for allowing us to use this for free for the American public. I think.
Wow.
Okay, there's different parts to this. So the first part, so they talk
generous.
about, the first part before we get to the copyright stuff there. So this is Bunny Pounds, founder of Christians Engaged. And I did sort of quote this person in a little article I wrote. Basil, I wrote a thing for X. I've been trying to pump out some more articles on X, and I did publish something called Before Trump Reads 2 Chronicles 7, 11 through 22 on Tuesday, a discernment note for Christians. And really it was just an outline of what the passage or that section of the Bible is about, and from the context of the Old Testament, and just the straight sort of understanding of what's going on there. And just more or less, I say here that it's right after Solomon dedicates the temple. God appears to Solomon. He gives him the specific covenant curses. There could be droughts, locusts, pestilence for disobedience. And then the famous, if my people, right? If my people repent, then the land will heal. And so that's the part that really gets used a lot in American politics. And what this lady here, Bunny, was talking about was that the last 50 years, we've used the scripture as a means to say America, the United States, is in covenant with God. And so if Americans repent, then the American land will heal. And I think it's okay if you're staying within the context of analogy to be like, okay, analogously, sure. Like we all want people to repent and turn to the Lord. And, maybe there's some benefits to that in terms of the land healing and things of that nature. But you can't just straight apply it to say like, oh, this passage is talking about America, which is kind of the way I think a lot of people take it, especially in politics. Conservative Americans take this passage to mean that. Now, the other angle to this that I'm seeing a lot of people talk about, including Alex Jones, I guess right now is doing some breakdown of this, is that, Trump's going to build a third temple in Israel. Right. This is the third temple signal. This is like an end time signal.
you go to Second Chronicles chapter 7, the headline of chapter 7 is the dedication of the temple.
Exactly. Yes, I get
Which
it. Yeah.
this was the first temple, right? Yeah, Solomon's temple was the first temple. Now, yeah, if you're kind of, someone who's been paying attention over the last 15 years, yeah, there's lots of talk about building the third temple, and Trump is the guy to do it, and, what this means for end times prophecy. It's like the perfect I guess, headline for a chapter for Trump to read in the narrative of Trump sort of being, some sort of character in end times prophecy, rebuilding the third temple. Yeah, have him dedicate the temple, and even in the I don't know if you want to read it in the more maybe mischievous or devious way, the way that whoever's in control know that perhaps the end times prophecies are not just descriptive but perhaps prescriptive. So we need Trump to read this dedication of the temple over the land. That's certainly one aspect, and there's a lot of different angles to it, of course, and any good political event slash any good sort of occult ritual will include a few different facets to look at it from.
Yeah, of course. And Trump saying this or reading this is not really the issue. Of course, he's the as the chaos magician, maybe there's a purpose for him reading it, but he's not going to frame anything. I don't think he's going to comment on it. I think it's a recording of him reading this from the Oval Office, and they're just going to air it as part of the continuous, I guess, reading of the Bible, which, of course, the second part of this clip from the organizer here, that they got the copyright claims, or they got the rights to read the KJV.
They got
the
a Bible
license. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, the license to read it, because they're creating a product out of this.
Yeah, well, it's great again in the context of if we tune our sort of sensitivity again to Bible prophecy stuff, turn it up to 11. The idea of needing a license to read the Bible, maybe a license to read it, publicly, or a license to read it at all. It's very kind of like end times beast system. Christianity becomes illegal, or at least regulated. Even in the context of we were talking on Clubhouse a while back, somebody called in and gave us the skinny on Christianity in Iran. And, there's lots of discussion about how whatever you think about what's going in Iran, there's Christians in Iran who may be sort of benefiting from the fall of the government there, not because Christian, and this is funny. You ask Grok, are there Christians in Iran? It says, yes, there's a lot of Christians in Iran. You go, okay, is Christianity illegal in Iran? He goes, no, Christianity is not illegal in Iran. Okay, well, is it restricted in any way? Says, yes, it's highly restricted. And the long and short of it is, you're not allowed to be Christian. If you're Muslim, you cannot become Christian. And of course, Christians, they can't have Bibles, and they can't do anything in public. They can't, all these sorts of things.
Right.
And you can only be Christian if you're a certain ethnic identity. I forget what it is. Maybe it's Armenian or something. It's like saying only Black people can be Christian in America. Okay. It's totally illegal. Christianity is not banned in America, but only Black people can be Christian. It's just this totally insane sort of rhetorical, I don't know, flourishing you have to use to discuss Christianity in Iran in any way besides sort of the most persecuted group of people in the country. But there you go. Here's a glimpse, if not even, of course, we're not saying that this is how America is, but if you turn up your sensitivity to 11, oh, there it is. You need a license to read the Bible. It's the restricting of Christianity in the beast system, which, of course, at some point during the beast system, that very much is going to be the case, at least if maybe well-known readings of the Book of Revelation is in fact true.
it's almost like, yeah, we can have a Christian revival as long as the right people politically benefit and certain publishing houses have a turn of profit. You know?
Yeah, you get corporate copyright license, okay? Now, I wonder, I'm just picking this up from context clues. It sounds like what it is they have a bunch of people lined up to read
Yes.
through the whole Bible, and it looks and sounds like what they're doing is they're having everybody who's doing the reading recorded on video. Then what? They play it all the way through as in one big, I guess,
live stream, like a
live
week-long
stream
live
kind
stream.
of thing, or maybe like
Yeah.
a collection that's available on video.
I think it's probably happening right now. Is this the PureFlix one? Maybe, let's see here. I'm trying to get into it. Let's see if we can pull it
Do we
up.
want
Maybe
to finish out this lady, what she's saying?
Yeah, sure. Let's let her.
Us with a Bible license for the event, for the live stream, for social media, for every use. And this will be an audio and video Bible on the back end as well. So
blessed.
everybody's reading in the same translation for copyright purposes. And we're very thankful for Whitaker House for allowing us to use this for free for the American public. I think he's sending a message that faith matters in this country and that he understands the foundation of the Bible in our country's history, and that he believes that it's important not only to his life personally and his family, but for our nation as overall. We're making a statement during this week as America reads the Bible, that there is so much in the Bible that we can gain wisdom and discernment from. There is so much that can heal our families, that can rescue us from depression and anxiety, and can heal our inner cities and heal our land. And so I believe the president's saying that by reading this scripture specifically.
There you go. Yeah, I'm looking at the website here. Quite the lineup. You got Trump, Franklin Graham. You got Secretary Mike Pompeo. You got Pete Hegseth up there doing it, of course. Sarah Huckabee. I mean, this is quite the political list here. I mean, I don't know about the whole thing, but supposedly you got to get tickets to watch the reading. You got to pay money.
20 hours of it is reserved for celebrities and politicians.
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's a lot of hours, but it's probably a pretty small percentage of the full reading.
I mean, there's some people reading some big chunks. This guy, Danny Goki, he's reading Psalm 69 to Isaiah 9. That's a big chunk. Oh, no, wait, there's a couple people reading Genesis 1 to Exodus 19. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm just,
kind of skipping around or something.
Yeah, they might be skipping around. Yeah, who knows?
If you read the Bible in a year, you don't read it just straight line for line for a year, or at least the sort of packaged read the Bible in a year Bible. You're reading some from here, from there. So maybe they do it that way. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah,
Tune in 24/7.
Tune in, or at least, pay money to tune in, I guess. You gotta give them something to find out.
Yeah, do you have to pay money? How much?
I think so. Hold on, let me see. Attend online. What happens if I click that? Nothing happens. The website doesn't work, or we're blocked. We're not allowed.
There's a donate button. I don't know.
There we go. We got to fill out a big old form.
You got to register. They got to make sure you're not in ISIS.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to watch this thing, but it's okay because it's going to be a product after you're done. You can buy the special, America Reads the Bible DVD set or something. I don't know what they do these days, but
yeah, that's interesting because I didn't have all the details before the show here. We like to keep some mystery in it. I thought it was a thing where you could read along with them, or they're you're joining the group and everybody is reading the Bible in a week, but it's more like they're putting a product together, like a live stream product or something.
Yeah. So it looks like here, register to watch, but also get tickets to the reading. So you gotta get the tickets. See, it already started. Let's see, where are we at right now? But what time is it?
Are they past Genesis 6? Yeah, they're past Genesis 6.
Yeah. Of course, they're past Genesis 6. Oh, maybe the timing of the whole Enoch stuff aligns well with that.
Oh, that's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have anything else on the Bible, I think we're just laying a foundation here, folks. It's America Reads the Bible in a week. Trump is going to be reading his tomorrow and Tuesday. You can tune in.
I think it's pre-recorded. All of this might be pre-recorded, but yeah, Trump's part is definitely.
You can't let him read it live because he's just gonna go off on a Trump.
That's true. That's
He's
true.
gonna flourish. He's gonna, you know, if you let Trump read
Especially-
the Bible live, you never know where things are gonna go.
Especially if he's reading until verse 22, there's parts in there, you know, like verse 19. But if you turn away and forsake the statutes and commandments I've set before you, and if you go off to serve and worship other gods, then I will uproot Israel from the soil. I mean, he may say
Joe
something.
Kent, talking to you, Joe Kent. Joe Kent, if you forsake my statutes and commandments,
I am the other gods. Worship me. All right,
Marjorie
okay, so-
Taylor Greene, I will uproot Israel from the soil I've given them.
Very bad man. Very bad guy. Very bad guy. All right. Along these lines here,
At the same time,
at the same time.
during we got Trump, we got the White House, we got everybody. They're reading the Bible in a week. This is great. All right, getting the Bible back. And you know, I don't know anything about whatever their new King James version is. That would be interesting to find out.
Wasn't it King James Easy version or something?
Something, I forget what it's called, something like that. But
Easy
very
version.
interesting timing, because of course everybody's paying attention to UFOs these days. We're having the disclosure kind of shoved in our ears, to put it how Gonz gave us so graciously earlier in the show. We also have the enormous surgence, not even resurgence, of Genesis 6, the Nephilim, the Watchers. This has all become very mainstream topic of conversation. And during Read the whole Bible week here in America, we had a very interesting post from somebody who is kind of leading the charge in the UFO disclosure operation, and that is Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who is, of course, the gal who is sort of trying to force Pete Hegseth to release various videos. She is really kind of taken some sort of lead on this. On April 18th, that must have been Saturday, right? At 5:57 p.m., she made a simple post on X, and it was only 5 words. And this post read, "Read the Book of Enoch, period." Now, of course, okay, I know everybody listening here, you've been around for a while, you get it. Maybe you're new, okay? And you're thinking, yeah, of course, read the Book of Enoch. Of course, the UFO lady would say that. What's new here? But remember, she is a sitting representative in the United States House of Representatives. She is one of the most high-profile figures on UFOs and things like that. And previously, I would say previously until this tweet, the idea that somebody might be going down the research rabbit hole and saying, oh, see, maybe they're not aliens. Look at Genesis 6. Look at the Book of Enoch. Oh, this might not be interplanetary, intergalactic. It seems that perhaps UFOs could have some sort of spiritual connection. Perhaps they're angels or demons or whatever, which, is not a new idea, very new age. The new age has been in this for a long time, the UFO community. But for the official government disclosure gal to come out and make this suggestion, well, it was at least worth 2.3 million views on X. So
she pinned it. She pinned it to her account. It was such a viral post.
She pinned it, folks. She pinned
it. It's got the gray check mark for official government account and everything. Now, Anna Paulina Luna has been talking about the Book of Enoch a little bit. We'll play a clip from Joe Rogan. I think she was on Joe Rogan, or maybe Joe Rogan talked about it. I don't know if it was her as the guest. She was also on PBD, which is another pretty big podcast, and she was talking about Enoch on that show as well with Patrick Bet. I think his name is Bet David. I forget his full name there. But and I remember posting about it because she said some things that were not true. She said they took Enoch out of the Bible. And it's like, Anna Paulina Luna, that is not true. They did not take it out of the Bible.
Right.
It was never canon, So there's a proper way to handle this. But, of course, this set off a firestorm on X over the weekend. Everybody is a Book of Enoch expert.
Yeah.
Everybody knows a little something about Enoch now. And, of course, your your best buddy Basil and your Asian provocateur Gonz also had to throw throw a little something in there. I did put together an article. I frantically wrote on my phone, Basil. I was playing out Psalm 144. My fingers were at war. And typing up this article, Enoch aliens in the Bible. Almost everyone is getting this wrong. That's how you get clicks on X. You tell everybody they're wrong. 12,000 impressions, which is not bad for an article. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but I lay out some of the ideas being perpetrated here. So a few things that people are saying about this. Okay, you're either getting the okay, yes, Enoch, is it's like more true than the Bible. It's like, oh, it got taken out of canon because there was too much truth in it. So they had to take it out of the Bible. Only the Ethiopians kept it in the Bible. So you get that narrative.
The implication there is that the books that are in the Bible have less truth value than the ones that were taken out.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's that angle to it. Then there's the complete pushback from Christians angle to it, saying like it's all Gnostic heresy. The Freemasons planted Enoch and all this stuff. And you look it up, and of course, there was a Scottish Rite Freemason that brought the Ethiopian Bible to Britain. I think it was like the 1700s or something like that. And, that was sort of the first time the West found out about Enoch, the Book of Enoch. And it was sort of, again, it was a Freemason. And of course, you can go back a couple centuries even before that. You had the Queen deploy John Dee. And John Dee was doing some seances and stuff. And he claimed he found the Enochian language and all these things. We covered all that in Age of Deceit too, I think in 2014. So, the topic was around, but it wasn't.
The Masons and the occultists have always recognized the power of the Bible, often even more than Christians have.
Yes. And it wasn't until the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947, 1948, which is an interesting year, by the way. That's Roswell. That's Israel, modern nation state Israel. That's, I think Hillary Clinton was born that year. It's all surrounding that year. So it is a very interesting period post World War II. The United Nations being formed, all that kind of stuff. But 1947, 1948, the Dead Sea Scrolls are found. They find all these old scrolls. They find perfectly preserved pieces of the book of Isaiah verbatim. It was being argued like maybe it's the whole like, hey, the Bible's been copied over and over again, so we don't have the actual version of it. That whole thing was thrown out the window because the manuscripts for the book of Isaiah went back to, 2nd, 3rd century BC. And so it proved that, hey, we really haven't changed much in terms of the translations and the passing down of some of the scriptures. And included, of course, was First Enoch. And things get complicated because, there's Second Enoch. There's more than just one part of Enoch. There's multiple, sort of Second Enoch, Third Enoch, whatever, which were added on later, a couple hundred years later, actually, from the time of Jesus. But as our late mentor, Dr. Michael Heiser, he did a lot of the heavy lifting for all this. He showed how First Enoch informs us of what was going on in Genesis 6, what was going on in the Old Testament, and why Jesus did certain things in his ministry, why the book of Jude basically verbatim quotes Enoch, why Second Peter talks about similar issues about the angels that sinned and stuff like that. So it puts context into what the audience at the time of Jesus's ministry, their worldview. Now, the thing is, you don't have to agree with any of it, but you can at least look at First Enoch and say, okay, when Jesus was walking this earth and doing his ministry, the people in that era understood the world through this First Enoch perspective. And that's important for us to understand. Just being intellectually honest about the Bible is like, okay, why did Jesus do this? Why did he go to Mount Hermon? Why was he transfigured on Mount Hermon? What's the significance of that? Well, that's where the Watchers came down. Why is he talking about the gates of hell won't prevail down at the bottom of Mount Hermon, at the Grotto of Pan, where they thought that that's where sort of the opening into the underworld, into Hades was. Well, maybe there's a reason, because some of those angels or entities are trapped down there, whatever. So there's all these reasons for what Jesus did, what the New Testament is doing, where do demons come from? Oh, they're the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. So it all connects to this. it helps us understand the proper context in the first century of what was going on, what people believed, and why Jesus did what he did. Why did the early New Testament authors write what they wrote what they wrote? And so in that sense, there's a nuance there because it's not about aliens per se. I mean, you can argue that nowadays, some people do. And it's not about, the canon being not what it is. It's, the Enoch was hidden and all this. There's a nuance. And my whole takeaway for all of it is, if it's not pointing you back to the scriptures, if it's not pointing you back to Jesus, his ministry, then you're kind of missing the point. And I think for a Congresswoman, Anna Paulina Luna, to say, read the book of Enoch, it is in this context of a greater narrative being created right now for disclosure, for the great deception that we've been talking about for so many years, since really the beginning of Canary Cry. And even before then, people like Derek Gilbert and L.A. Marzulli, and I think in the late 90s, it was Chuck Missler discussing this idea of a great deception, a great alien deception. It would break down the religions. It would, Project Bluebeam and all that was discussed in the 80s and 90s. So the topic has always been there in terms of aliens, disclosure, UFOs, the technology, the hidden history of man, all these things. And in order to get people prepared for whatever is being prepared, whether it's just the release of technology or truly a deception to the level of, I don't know, Trump shaking hands with a gray alien or something. I don't know what, level of deception they're going to try to pull off. They are preparing the masses for that. And I think part of that is, hey, go read the book of Enoch, because it's going to tell you all the secrets that nobody told you about before, especially you Christians.
It's to guide the op. And you got to remember, Anna Paulina Luna is kind of being positioned as this government rebel, right? She's telling us things the government's trying to hide. Tim Burchett, all these guys, even down to a lot of the UFO whistleblowers, you can apply this to, and people have applied it to. But the theater of it all is, she's fighting the government from the inside. These rebels. But you got to remember, none of these politicians or government people would be saying anything about anything that could possibly actually get them in trouble. They're just sort of another agent of the soft disclosure. And I think, look at it in the perspective of the government that wants to, for a myriad of reasons, they've decided now is the time to disclose all this crazy stuff. Okay. We've done the planning. We've kept it secret for long enough. Now is the time. We're going to get it out there. And Anna Paulina Luna, whether she knows it or not, is, an operative in this op, and she's not doing anything that the system doesn't want her to do. So that's number one to keep in mind. So then why would the system want to officially include the book of Enoch into the op? Well, like any good op, and this is easy to forget, okay? Any good op should work from any direction that you're looking at it, all right? Because you can't control the perspectives of everybody who's paying attention, but you can control the op so that it looks, no matter what direction you're looking at it from, it suits the purpose of the op. And the book of Enoch is a really elegant way to, a thing to add into the op here, because precisely it doesn't matter if you're a Christian and think that aliens are angels or demons, or specifically demons. It doesn't matter if you're New Age and you think that angels or demons are aliens. It's a subtle difference, but it is the two opposite sides of the spectrum. It doesn't matter if whatever perspective, and there are many, you look at the book of Enoch in connection with the UFO thing, coming out and putting the book of Enoch right at the center of the disclosure really has this sort of unusual unifying effect, because the people who think aliens are demons, mostly believers, or, people taking the Christian perspective, have a polar opposite idea and reaction and everything from the people who think demons and angels are aliens, that they are truly aliens posing as angels or demons, or the ancient people just thought they were angels or demons because they didn't know what an alien was, all the way to like straight up occultists who, are very aware of the Watchers.
But they're trying to invoke the Watchers for their own purposes. They're like, how did the old ones do it? We're trying to figure it out too.
So it's beautiful and it's subtle and it's, you got to remember these people know what they're doing when it comes to setting ops in motion. But this was the day before America Read the Bible Week. So while this huge operation to get celebrities, politicians to inspire America to read their Bible for this whole week-long celebration, Anna Paulina Luna, the figurehead of this UFO disclosure in the House of Representatives, tosses out an admittedly extra biblical, yes, yet referred book, in canon. Canon refers to Enoch, doesn't mean Enoch is canon, throws it out there. And so, you're encouraging America to read the Bible this week anyways. And there's going to be people who are going to say, I'll let them read the Bible. I'll go check out the book of Enoch. And it's, again, very elegant and impressive way for them to lay it out. And Enoch is one of those books, like is mentioned, of course, Enoch is used for many occult purposes, as well as New Age theologies, things like that. It's funny because technically, I would say New Agers and occultists take the book of Enoch more as canon than most official Christians would. Christians in the Christian, I guess, ecclesia, if you're an ecclesiastical Christian, if the 2,000 years of Christian tradition and culture and official scholarship, works into your faith, Enoch, not canon, is, there's a lot of good stuff in there, but it's not sufficient for salvation necessarily. But if you're an occultist or a New Ager, Enoch's more Bible-y than the Bible in a lot of cases.
Yeah. I like what Dr. Michael Heiser said in Reversing Hermann. He said, I don't consider the book of first Enoch to be inspired and canonical, but that's no excuse for neglecting it in study of scripture. So I think that's where we should be. But of course, with an op, that's not where it's going to be. It's going to be used for all kinds of stuff. And I think it's very, maybe, I don't know, I always say interesting, but it's more than interesting. From a personal level, Basil, the feeling of like, everyone should read Enoch because it's so, it helps us understand the Bible so much. That emotion that I had like 10 years ago, it's weird to have those emotions hijacked by the government for their own purposes.
I'm also not so sure anymore that, because Enoch,
maybe we were part of the op.
If you've ever read the book of Enoch, it is not light reading. Like,
no, I was just going to say,
the book of Revelation is trippy and hard to understand and like has all these visuals that it's kind of hard to keep straight. That's basically the entire book of Enoch.
I was going to read.
It's not beginner scripture reading, that's for sure.
Right from the get-go, it says, the word of the blessing of Enoch, which he spoke concerning the elect and righteous who will be living in the day of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are to be removed. And then later it says, and he took up his discourse and said, Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, saw the vision of the holy ones in the heavens, not for this generation, but for a remote one, which is to come. And of course, a lot of people are pointing at that, saying like, hey, maybe this is the generation. And maybe they've been saving Enoch for such a time as these. They knew that they were going to unleash Enoch into the masses, or the book of Enoch into the masses, and maybe that's what's taking place here. But there's just culturally speaking, people are making little snippets and videos of different famous podcasters and things talking about the book of Enoch. I have this first one here. of course, if you're going to talk about some stuff, you got to get Matthew McConaughey and Joe Rogan. You got to get that clip going. So
There's
this is
some of the great takes on the Book of Enoch.
the amazing takes in some of the biggest podcasts in the world with some of the most famous people in the world talking about the Book of Enoch.
I got into the Book of Enoch recently, which is a book, an ancient religious book that was at one point in time included in the canon that was like the Bible and everything like that, but then they decided it was too crazy.
Sorry, I get mad when I hear stuff like that because it's like,
to be fair, it was in the Ethiopian canon.
It's still in the Ethiopian canon. I get it. I understand that, but so maybe but they didn't take it out of anything. They didn't like remove it from anywhere.
Just
but anyway,
not included from the beginning.
Yeah. They removed it from the Bible.
It's included in the Apocrypha in the Catholic Bible.
Maybe that's what they mean. Maybe like it was originally supposed to be in the Catholic.
Which is sort of an unnuanced understanding of what the Apocrypha is and why it's included. It's called the Apocrypha for a reason, even if it is included in the Catholic Bible. Right. Anyways.
But there's no debate about whether or not it was actually a religious text that coincided with the Bible, and it appears in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Which, by the way, Enoch is not part of the Apocrypha. Just double checking on that.
Is it not? Am I mistaken?
It's not. No, it's not. It's not part of it. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It is the craziest shit.
Oop, I didn't know there was a bad word in there.
It's the craziest shit. And I'm getting AI I go, tell me what the nuttiest stuff. So I ran it through.
What did it say?
It's insanity. It's first of all, it's God's coming down and mating with women and creating this race called the Nephilim who destroy. Here, I'll ask it again. The Watchers and the Nephilim. The Watchers descended to earth on Mount Hermon. They take human wives, teaching humanity forbidden knowledge, sorcery, astrology, metalworking, weapons, cosmetics, and enchantments. This is like older than the New Testament, older than the Old Testament. Their giant children, the Nephilim, are described as monstrous beings who devour humans, animals, and even each other when food runs out. That sounds like us.
That's what I'm saying. That sounds present.
That sounds like us,
except
and
not, not the physical warfare,
right?
But the inhabitation of a digital god, an alien, whatever that is, or the monsters that come down. Well, that does sound like a nice little mirror.
If we were engineered by aliens, you think of aliens, they're these little tiny guys with no muscles. We would look like giant, monstrous beings.
Yeah.
And if you think about what we do, we devour everything. Yes. We devour the earth itself. We devour each other when food runs out. We definitely do that.
Yeah. So we're the Nephilim, Basil. That's the takeaway from Joe Rogan.
There's been a lot of that recently. There's been a lot of that.
I know. I mean, I think there was someone
to the gate program discussion we've been talking about.
I was going to say somebody brought up a caller brought up something along those lines on your call-in show.
Yeah, on Canary Cry Clubhouse on Thursdays, we've been chatting here and there about the GATE program. And according to at least some of the GATE program researchers out there, there were physical DNA attributes that the program was, letting kids in. And some of these DNA attributes, some of them I have some of them. And the question is that Nephilim DNA or is it something else? You never know. But these things start connecting all together at a certain level of conspiracy theory, I guess.
Yeah. There's another clip I wanted to play here from our favorite CIA podcaster, Shawn Ryan. I won't play the whole thing here.
That's how you know it's true. It's on the Shawn Ryan podcast.
On the Shawn Ryan show. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but there's a guy named Carson on here that describes his view of what's going on with Enoch.
Is Enoch? Enoch is he's a half human, half Annunaki, according to some of the. So one of these, he's a demigod supposedly. So he was his father was a god with a lowercase g, and his mother was a human being, supposedly. This is what the stories say. How mythological is that? We can't really understand it. But he was special. He had offspring, he had a family, and these beings that came to visit gave him an appointed date that he would be taken away from Earth. And so he got taken away from Earth, and he then describes the shape of the Earth, the size, the color, everything from space, a gigantic blue glowing sphere. He's then brought back at some point in the future. He went away for a while, then comes back. He left the I guess his estate to his kids, his sons. So they were waiting for him to leave, and they was also waiting for him to come back. This was planned. It wasn't like some mystical thing. In the Bible, it seems as if he just disappeared from earth and he was taken into heaven and never came back, but that's not the case. In the book of Enoch, you find out he was brought back. Pretty interesting.
That is because he kind of keeps
that
going.
Is a wild.
Well,
That
he's mixing certain things about, and you can play the rest of the clip. You can kind of see where he's coming from with it. But he's mixing First Enoch. He definitely talks about some of the stuff that's in First Enoch that's actually there, the Watchers and the women and the Nephilim and all that. But then he's also mixing in stuff from the Apkallu, like the Mesopotamian Apkallu mythologies and the Epic of Gilgamesh. He's basically saying Enoch is Gilgamesh in that sense. His father was, a demigod individual.
Yeah. And this is more on the ancient aliens / New Age theology around Enoch.
Right. And that last point there, kind of trying to throw the Bible under the bus, like, oh yeah, in the Bible, Enoch just goes away, but then in the book of Enoch, he comes back. And well, sort of. I mean, even in the book of Enoch, he's communicating back to Earth, but he's not like back to live on Earth, Right. So I don't know. These are just details that trouble me with stuff, but everyone's got a take. Everyone's got a perspective on the book of Enoch.
Well, that's the great thing. That's the great op about Enoch. That's what makes it so valuable to the operation. Like I said before, is nobody's really read Enoch. And those who have read Enoch are usually have some pre-theological thing that they're using Enoch to prove about their, ancient aliens or their New Age theology they're already working with. And so it allows for pretty much anybody to come out and just say anything they want about Enoch.
It's true.
Nobody really knows. Nobody's really checking. And, nobody really wants to, because what people want, and this is why the op is so valuable, is people want aliens to have explanation in Enoch. There's something valuable. People are craving this mystery of aliens or UFOs or whatever. It's much more comfortable and interesting to people. It's a lot less scary. It's a lot less mysterious. It gives them a handle on, hey, it's okay. This has been written before. People have known about this. So it's like, I would say a huge portion of the population are actually brought comfort, not by reading the book of Enoch, but just by it being referenced, just because it fills in some gaps of whatever theology you want. The book of Enoch is there. I think that's why it's so effective, because you do have now millions of people tweeting, talking, podcasting about the book of Enoch, who probably have maybe read a couple of verses that were copied and pasted on X and not actually cracked the thing open.
Yeah. And if we string out the logic here, the playbook, and kind of look over the horizon as to why they would drop the book of Enoch into mainstream conversation politically. And if you look at the whole document of Enoch, because it's considered pseudepigraphical, which, I think in modern times people hear the word pseudepigraphical and they think like, oh, see, it's a fake author. Right. Sure, it does kind of mean that, but also, back in the day, pseudepigraphical writings, it was fairly common because people would write, in the style of somebody or somebody famous or something like that. It wasn't as crazy back then. But a couple different things to point out. One, the figure of Enoch obviously this connects to Judaism in a way, and of course the mystical side of Judaism and Kabbalah and all that stuff. I'll get to that in a minute. But in Islam, the prophet Idris is considered Enoch, and so they don't look at the book of Enoch as anything particular, except maybe if you're I don't know, maybe certain brands or certain branches of Islam have that. Like with any religion, there's probably a certain group that looks at the book of Enoch and kind of tries to weave it into their own sort of Islamic theology or eschatology. But it's interesting because they think that Idris is a truthful prophet overall that taught, Islam, Islamic people writing and astronomy and things like that. So very similar to the storyline, ironically, of the Watchers. But you go further down and you get to second Enoch, third Enoch, especially. And this is where it gets really Gnostic. It's it's like 3 or 4 centuries after Christ. And you're talking, much further down the line.
By Gnostic, you mean literally Gnostic.
Literally Gnostic. No, not like colloquial or
themselves
yes.
as a breakaway community of Christianity. I don't know exactly when they were officially labeled as heresy by the church, but an official offshoot of Christianity, the Gnostic Christians as a group. I think a lot of people, it's easy to talk about, this is Gnostic and that's Gnostic in sort of abstract terms, like that's kind of like what the Gnostics. No, this was like literal
Gnostics, yeah. But also, you think about where this is headed. Think about transhumanism. We talked about that. Think about the whole conversation we've always had, that the same deception that was in the garden about, hey, you shall be as gods. We're talking about living forever, in the context of Jared Kushner saying that, hey, we're going to solve death. Silicon Valley trying to get us to upload ourselves into a digital format so we can live forever. Upgrade, ascension, all these ideas. Well, you get to third Enoch, and this character Enoch gets transformed into an angel named Metatron. So you know about this part of the storyline, right? Okay, so in third Enoch, and a lot of it's considered Jewish text. It's considered mystical, Kabbalic text, and Enoch turns into an angel Metatron. That's sort of the end point of all of this. So you think about where this is headed. If you're going to take Enoch and introduce, because Paulina Luna, Paulina Luna, she didn't say read the first book of Enoch. She said read the book of Enoch, which to somebody who's uninformed will take all of Enoch and read it, or maybe not read it, but understand it to be like, oh, we're talking about not just the whole Watcher thing, but we're also talking about the ultimate end of Enoch, which is we're going to turn into angels. We're going to become like gods. We're going to transform into Metatron. And is that our goal? Is that where we're headed? So I think in that context of where this might be going, the narrative structure of where this is headed, maybe there is something to be said about the warnings of Enoch, from some of the Christians who say like, hey, ignore it because it's all heresy and all that. Well, it's not when it comes to first Enoch, especially a certain chunk of the chapters there from first Enoch. But afterwards, you start getting into the mystical transformation conversation, then you are getting into a lot more overlap with the Silicon Valleys and the technocrats and what they want, which is this sort of eternal life based on some achievement of ascension of some kind.
I think that's a good point. We go back to the source material here, which is Anna Paulina's the tweet, right? Read the book of Enoch. Lots of people are probably going to miss, or just not even care, not even hear, that there is no the book of Enoch. Like you say, there's 3 of them, right? 3 books of Enoch.
I think so.
And I think what she's actually saying, or, maybe it can go both ways, but she says, read the book of Enoch. I don't think she actually means, because she doesn't say it, read the Enochian texts, read first Enoch, second Enoch, third Enoch, read the, ancient source material. What she's really saying is basically listen to the theories that people have about Enoch.
Right. Yeah.
Like she's not saying like go read the source material. She's saying, hey, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of interesting connections with this Enochian theory. And so listen to podcasts and read X tweets and watch AI generated videos. Again, separating the sort of, which depending on which book of Enoch you're reading or getting some theory from, could have wildly different, implications to the Great Deception.
Right. So Metatron in the third Enoch is somewhat considered a lesser Yahweh. And that's, you're starting to get into some dangerous territory there if you're sort of a biblical Christian. But also, I think part of it as well is because, so in 3rd Enoch, there's I think his name's Ishmael. There's a prophet that gets to go to heaven, and he meets Metatron, and Metatron tells him, hey, I used to be Enoch. And part of the discussion is the Merkaba, this vehicle type thing that goes through the different layers of heaven and, can reach heaven. And so when you're talking about UFOs and this technology that sort of defies the laws of physics and things of that nature, the Merkaba is a great conversation starter, or maybe, a reference to ancient documentation that might suggest some kind of chariot. Even Ezekiel mentions, Merkaba, the chariot, as well. So it's not completely out of the biblical text, but in terms of, an actual experience being documented with, in extra biblical literature, or even, 3rd Enoch isn't even considered extra biblical. It's just like non-biblical literature, I would say.
Apocrypha, yeah.
Yeah.
To be clear, Enoch does not appear in the Catholic Apocrypha, but it is considered apocryphal, and
right?
It is
the word
in the Ethiopian and the Orthodox. Oh, sorry, no, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church does officially have it in their Apocrypha.
Yes. So yeah, there's a lot there to uncover. There's a lot to study about it. But again, my whole thing is, if it's not pointing you back to Scripture, if it's not pointing to Christ, then just be careful. Be careful about the narratives being crafted around the whole.
That's kind of the point. That's kind of the point. It's and there's a subtle shift, because the books of Enoch might give some insight, or might provide some explanation, whether it's true or not, into the UFO phenomenon. Again, whether it's true or whether it's just the op. But then going into the conversation about Enoch being reliable, being apocryphal, being canon, etc., we were given very simple insights and instructions about how to consider various writings, various teachings, various theologies. And if it doesn't point back to the death and resurrection and salvation of Jesus Christ, then that's about as important as it is just like, can give some entertaining insight into some government op or something. There's testing the spirits, testing the if it's not pointing directly to the new covenant with Christ, then what is it really worth? Not a whole lot, but it's worth a whole lot to a government operation trying to finally find a context with which they can use this soft disclosure for a great deception that brings us into a beast system, one world government, one world religion, etc. I do want to give a shout out, just because I think this is good for us to remember, Gonz, before we move on to our next section. Kevo OOOO in YouTube chat says, Gonz and Basil, please level down on the sarcasm. I fear some of the people I invited to watch the podcast might be confused if you're being literal when being sarcastic. And this is a good reminder, Kevo. And I apologize to Kevo, and I apologize to the people that Kevo invited to listen to the show. It is often something for a very long time that people have criticized us about, and that's fair. And I certainly would not want our sarcasm to confuse or upset anybody, which it often does. So specifically to Kevo and the people who Kevo invited to watch the show, apologize for any sarcasm that may have been confusing so far, and we will try to be more, I guess, present and think about that more in the future. Hope you stick around for the rest of the show. And with that, Gonz, let's see. Shall we thank a producer or two and get on with the show?
Some executive producers, yes. Let's do it.
We are on the value for value, especially if you're new to this show. You'll notice that we don't have any advertisements, no sponsorships, no platform partnerships, no corporation whatsoever is included, let's say, in keeping this show alive. And that's for a lot of things, your time, your talent, your treasure, whatever. And that's because we believe from the very beginning of the advertising industry, the occult roots of Edward Bernays and his uncle Sigmund Freud, advertising has a long literal ancestry and spiritual ancestry of commoditizing your attention, commoditizing your consciousness, of course, social engineering, mind control, these sorts of things, but also we see it as some form of a worship of mammon, to be selling the minds and the attention of people who so graciously give us their attention, perhaps even their trust, for our own personal gain. So no advertisements, no marketing, not a cent from any corporation comes in to make this show exist. Instead, we are on the value for value model, which is very simple. We don't exist because a corporation gets value from it. We only exist because real human beings get value from the show. And if you get value from the show, it is up to you how you help keep us alive with your time, your talent, or your treasure. We got people who help us out on the back end. We got people who make art, make music. And of course, people come in and support financially. And if you want to learn more about it, you can go to canarycry.support.
Whoa, there's like a little extra little thing in there.
Jingle. Whoa. And a big thank you to all of our producers who come in and they have joined on a monthly producer schedule. We appreciate that very much. It goes a long, long way to keeping us alive. So big shout out to the monthly producers. But executive producers are people who come in and support the show for $100 or more for any individual episode like this one. And we got a couple to thank today. So we're going to do that. Ready, Gonz?
Ready.
All right. We have executive producer Sam S.
Sam S. Thank you, Sam.
Sam S. Sam S. comes in for $154. Thank you very much, Sam S.
Thank you, Sam S.
And we got a note from Sam S. who says, "Hi, Basil and Gonz, long-time listener, first time producing. God bless you." That's right. So
wow.
In fact, we're going to have to give Sam S. A big celebratory demooching.
You've been
Sam S., you have put your childish things behind, and today you are a man. Thank you for getting demooched and executive producing demooching as well. Very impressive, to be applauded and lauded. Thank you, executive producer Sam S.
Thank you, Sam S. Appreciate you.
Which is fun because he's being demooched, that also makes him eligible to receive the free supply drop, full quarter of the free supply drop from the Toph challenge. So thank you, Sam S.
Yeah, there you go. Is that the Toph challenge, right? You just
what did I say? Yes.
No, you said Toph challenge. You're right. I'm just double checking. Okay.
And remember, folks, the Toph challenge is still continuing. If you're a monthly producer, if you're a supply dropper, t-shirt council, come in, executive produce the show once. And for every 3 of those executive producers, a demoocher will be given a free quarter of the supply drop, which is a good reason to get demooched now as well. All right. One last executive producer. That's executive producer, Sir LX Protocol V2, Baron of the Breen Protocol. And of course, it comes in for $100 and 33 cents. And he is on a 480 episode streak and a 134 executive producer streak.
Wow, like a North Star.
Incredible. Incredible. Keeping us going. Thank you to both of our executive producers. God bless you. We couldn't do any of this without you. And we'll have a couple more producers to thank later on in the show as well. And of course, before I move on, I want to give a big thank you to CageRattlerCoffee.com.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
Cage Rattler Coffee. It is coffee for producers of the show, by producers of the show. This is a great way to stand in rebellion about against the theology of mammon and advertising. We all, of course, drink coffee. Some of us have to drink coffee or else we cannot podcast in the morning. And chances are you're giving your money to a big evil coffee corporation that not only gives you burnt, horrible, stale, moldy coffee. I mean, look up the moldy coffee thing. It's really terrifying. But you're also supporting a company that hates everything that you believe in. So to even have the opportunity to participate in a parallel economy where Canarians, other producers of the show, have gone through the rigmarole and put all the love of Christ that they can into procuring these GMO-free, single-origin, organic coffee beans from around the world, roasting them in teeny tiny small batches, again, not just with love, but with Christ's love, and being able to support your fellow Canarians and get energized and jazzed up with a product that is so lovingly made. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com. You'll see beans coming from all over the world. You got your Emu Wrangler medium roast, your Nephilim Hunter dark roast. You can join the Coffee of the Month Club. Of course, get a variety pack if you don't know what to do. But we are so grateful to our producers over at CageRattlerCoffee.com. And of course, for those who have a little bit of trouble jumping into the value for value model, going to CageRattlerCoffee.com supports the show just a little bit. Every producer, they come in value for value. And until, I guess, we're still going on the Baby Emu discount code. You can get an extra 5% off through this month with discount code Baby Emu. One word, Baby Emu. Get an extra 5% off whatever your order is. There you go. Go to CageRattlerCoffee.com.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
Is that good?
And
for it?
that was good. Real quick, just to mention, because we're getting close, is the Kansas City meetup is in just a few days here. So if you're in the Kansas City area, we got a meetup on the 25th. What is that? That's got to be Saturday or something.
That's Saturday. Yep. This
Friday?
Saturday, upcoming Saturday. Nope,
Yeah,
Saturday.
yeah. Okay. So this Saturday in Kansas City, there is the meetup at Kelly's Westport Inn at 12:45 p.m. Look for two guys wearing Canary Cry News Talk shirts. You can hang out, have a meetup there at Kelly's Westport Inn, and then you have the option, if you'd like, to attend the Christian hardcore show
Demon Hunter
concert later that evening. It's going to be a great meetup, and I hope people show up. Just again, go to Kelly's Westport Inn at 12:45. Look for a couple guys in CCNT shirts, and if you need more details, you can go to canarycrymeetups.com.
Boom! There you go.
That is.
There's people in the chat who don't understand what the coffee stuff is, but that's okay.
I know.
That's all right.
I know.
You've explained it multiple times. It's okay.
Yeah, so
it's okay.
Just keep tuning in. I'll explain it every single time.
Yep.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's do more news.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
We don't. And there's more missing scientists, allegedly, retroactively. Now they keep adding more to the list, and as we pointed out at scientist number 5 or 6 or 7 or something, this is not happening all in real time. They are retroactively adding people to the list, but again, we started saying even back then, what's happening is narrative craft.
It's just warfare.
They're targeting you. They're targeting you.
It's general warfare. That's right. It's been very fun over the past month or so because, of course, it started with 8, then it was 9, then it was 10. And it was pretty much every episode in a row, or at least every week. They have added another mysterious disappearance of a scientist or a janitor or someone connected to the UFO thing. And the most interesting part about it has not been the reporting of more disappearances, but has been the evolution of the narrative. Because like we said, this number keeps growing on a regular basis. This serves to build up this sort of hysteria in the media, and not just in the media, but in the worldview of lots of people. Because most people see the headlines, or maybe they read through it, or they're keeping track. And every time something happens, they say, oh my gosh, 11 more, and 11 disappeared. Now it's 12 disappeared. What's going on with all of our? And yet it's almost entirely a creation. The narrative is almost entirely a creation by Daily Mail, or perhaps some sort of intelligence agency who is operating this kind of Project Mockingbird worldview crafting operation. And indeed, they added Amy Eskridge, a 34-year-old scientist experimenting with anti-gravity tech, was found dead at 34 after warning that her life could be in danger, marking another mysterious case of deaths and disappearances in recent years. And this one, however, happened in 2022. So they are methodically working backwards. So like they could probably take one afternoon and look up all the scientists who have died in the past 10 years and report all of them in one big article. Right?
10. We could go back probably like, I don't know, 100 since paperclip. We can go back 80 years and be like,
they could
some Nazi scientist died at the age of 97 in 2010.
That's the point. They could choose an infinite amount of time to go back and report it all at once in an afternoon and say, look at this, 133 anti-gravity scientists have died. And, just give us the whole shebang all in one go, right? You could do that in an afternoon. But it's not about the deaths. It's not about that. It's about the ongoing cycle of creating the social atmosphere for something. And that something, of course, ultimately will lead up to some soft disclosure or some serious disclosure of aliens, which will lead us into, some end times prophecy unfolding, et cetera, et cetera. So now they just keep going back. And the next one was 2022. And it's going to keep moving in this direction. So if nothing else, let's all remember and tell your friend to keep in mind that the fact that this is bled out, they are bleeding out, they are stretching out this story, they can probably do it ad infinitum. They could probably just keep it going. And so there's interesting things to pay attention to. If we really want to understand the plan, if we really want to understand the operation and where this is going, it'll be interesting to see when they actually stop. Right? When they stop this, because it's almost,
of course,
we could almost see this like a countdown. They're literally doing it. They're just counting down backwards in time, adding a scientist every week. And it leads me to believe that it's leading up to one big event. We just had the launching of Artemis. There's the classic NASA thing where you count down 10, 9, 8, 7. In this case is 2026, 2024, 2023, 2022. And I have a suspicion that this will keep going all the way up until some big event. Well, I don't know exactly what that event will be, but this is how you sort of read the propaganda as it happens. And I don't think we need to get too deep into this particular story. However, I will note, we noticed when it was 10 last week, when they counted to 10, they had totally dropped the UFO connections to all these scientists.
Or at least the reporting in Daily Mail did not mention UFOs or aliens.
They went through every single scientist and they totally dropped any reference to UFOs. And now, here we are the next week, they added back in the UFO narrative. So there was
time too. I remember when Amy Eskridge passed away, the internet was, or at least certain conspiracy corners, a UFO research community, they were up in arms because she was talking about a lot of the sort of more exotic topics concerning the specifics of anti-gravity technology, Moscovium or element 115. That's the stuff that Bob Lazar talked about in the 80s and then was confirmed in like 2002 or something. So there's a lot of that going on.
Which is
and I saw somebody.
notable. It's very notable because when she died, this is not an unreported thing.
Right.
For those who were in the UFO, interested in the UFO stuff at the time, her death was widely reported and widely talked about. So it's not like Daily Mail unearthed some new dead scientist that nobody knew about before. They literally could have added her in the very first week.
They should have, or they,
That's not how it works. It's much more about keeping this cycle going, having that number go up on a regular basis to lead to whatever this is all leading to.
Yeah. I did notice somebody post some screenshots, which the account deleted those posts. I don't know, maybe an hour or two afterward, but it was an alleged text communication with Amy, and she was talking about how she gave herself a memo, like she recorded a memo to herself, just brainstorming about the technology and about all the stuff. And as soon as she recorded that memo to herself, she started receiving death threats. And she was telling whoever she was texting, this one individual allegedly receiving those text messages, that the death threats are crazy and I don't know what I did. I just left a message to myself. And she was pointing out, at least according to this screenshot, which who knows, right? But the screenshots we're talking about, or at least Amy was saying allegedly in those screenshots, that there is a group that's not a country. It's not like it's not like Russians or something like that. It's just a group that exists within the United States that has a hold of this technology. They want to release it on their own terms, as a corporate sort of rollout type of thing, and they're going to eliminate anybody else that figures out the technology, how it works or whatnot. And her whole thing was maybe Bob Lazar had it backwards, and gets into some technical details and stuff. And who knows? Again, I have no idea. But I find it interesting because you start looking into Amy Eskridge. It's almost like each one of these creates that Streisand effect, where you get the whole internet, instead of just like the UFO community, you get the whole internet researching about, who was Amy Eskridge? And, her father was like a nuclear scientist or something. And she was all part of this exotic physics research and blah, 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 blah. So it creates, again, like you said, creates the narrative. And she's just another name in that mix, and the 11th one to be exact.
It's almost like a good project for us or somebody who has the time is to try to get ahead of
try to find the next one.
Just go back. Okay, was there one who what was the next one back in time who died? And you could probably actually call it, say, it's going to be this guy, and the next week Daily Mail is going to add it to the list, right? And the reason to do that would be to try to wake more people up to, hey, no, you are watching an operation unfold right in front of our eyes. Daily Mail, always been an intelligence-linked news outlet. Daily Mail, we've noticed that in recent months, not even years, but months, has made a regular practice of jumping into the official conspiracy theory 101 lesson teaching in the mainstream media, all the way from MK Ultra to, the real classics, right? And they're writing earnestly about it and putting it out there pretty regularly. And they're the ones who are sort of the source of this countdown. You could get so it's quite obvious that there is an institutional, intelligence-based social engineering project that is unfolding with the Daily Mail and this missing UFO scientist thing for some reason. So it'd be really fun and interesting if you could catch some sort of maybe the algorithms would hurt you, if you started getting ahead of the narrative. As we've learned for the last 14 years of podcasting, there's nothing to benefit from getting in front of the narrative that they are trying to unfold. It is officially bad for you, for your ratings, for your algorithmics, stretch, for whatever. If you get ahead of the narrative, you will be punished. So, but it would be at least interesting for us to see, even just as a game, Can we find when the next scientist that they're going to post about before they do?
I'm looking at I'm doing some basic Google searches, and yeah, there's definitely some names out there that some of these may be too old to be sort of brought into the conversation.
You need one in 2021.
It's got to be like in the 2020s. Yeah,
recent.
that's the thing.
We can find, of course, there's been dozens of these guys. We can find them, but you got to find the next one. Earlier 2022 or 2021.
It's like since COVID, they went missing after COVID.
Like that. Yeah, there's probably a lot of options after COVID. Okay, so we've been tracking the narrative unfold. We know it's an op. And the next step, and this is the fun part, okay, because you can track this live as it happens. Starts with intelligence, goes to the mainstream media, unfolds over a series of weeks, and then it finally is given an extra layer of credibility by making it to the White House. Here's Trump being asked about and reacting to the now long list of missing UFO scientists.
In this 33-second clip.
With access to classified stuff, nuclear material, aerospace, they've all gone missing or turned up dead in the last couple months. Based on what you've been briefed, what do you think is happening here? And do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left the meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff, but we're going to be hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, whatever you want to call it, but some of them were very important people, and we're going to look at it over the next.
He just came out of a meeting about it? Oh, boy.
So what I love about his, the role he's playing in this, right? Because we know Trump is not afraid to dive into conspiracy theories. Usually, he's enthusiastic about the ones that involve him and his elections and, et cetera, et cetera. But for him to say, what was the first way he said, can you play the first half again?
With access to classified stuff, nuclear material, aerospace, they've all gone missing or turned up dead in the last couple months. Based on what you've been briefed, what do you think is happening here? And do you think that this
that's
is
what it was.
connected or
You can play. It's this first thing he said.
Well, I hope it's random.
That
but
one.
We're going to know in the.
That's great.
I hope it's random.
Well, I hope it's random, right? So he's saying, I hope that there's not some sort of conspiracy. Right? I hope it's random. I hope it's a coincidence. I hope that it's nothing, right? And there's an interesting, impulse to that. Because naturally, especially people like us and the people who are the Daily Mail are trying to, it's almost like the Daily Mail has been in this process of initiating mainstream media people, not reporters and stuff, but people who still rely on the mainstream media. It's like this initiation ritual where if you're a mainstream media person, you don't pay attention to conspiracy theories, you don't pay attention to, crazy people on X, you strictly trust the media. The Daily Mail, and not just the Daily Mail, because other outlets have been picking up on this, right? So it starts at the Daily Mail as an exclusive, and then other outlets pick it up from the Daily Mail, and it spreads across. So you don't need to be a Daily Mail reader to get this narrative. But they've been sort of slowly initiating the non-tinfoil hatters by giving credibility to these verified conspiracy theories and this particular narrative of the missing scientists, which each and every one of these scientists have gone missing. You can confirm it. You can look it up yourself, this kind of thing. So we have this new generation. We experienced before 2016, you were really, really, really in a very small random group of people to be into conspiracy theorists. And it grew after 2026, right? After Trump got in, then there was another chunk of people who started waking up. And then 2020, goodness gracious, that's when, 2022, 2024, boom, lots of people initiated into the cult of conspiracy theories. And now we have the actual participation of the mainstream media in initiating whoever's left. And I have a neighbor, and this neighbor, wonderful person. Okay. For those who don't know, I live out in the country. out in the compound, all right, off the grid. It's great. And my neighbors are few and far between, literally. But I had a new neighbor move in about 6 months ago. And this neighbor was basically your classic leftist. Okay, not even just Democrat, classic leftist. Just picture a leftist, that's her. And it's interesting. I was being neighborly, helped them out with some stuff, and they were really kind of having a hard time, kind of, it takes some time to get used to being off the grid and living on solar and, kind of roughing it a little bit and dealing with dead animals and snakes and this kind of stuff. It's all part of it. So I'm happy to be a good neighbor and help out with a lot of this. But it's always been kind of a thing like, oh, we're not gonna talk about politics. Okay, let's keep this neighborly. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about anything because I kind of know where you stand, and she probably knows where I stand, and that's okay. But it was literally this past week, this neighbor started sending out messages to neighbors, including myself, and started talking like, hey, is anybody doing some, quote, preparing? What do you like, kind of being a little like, how you do,
like looking over her shoulder kind of thing, like who's preparing right now?
When you don't know where kind of somebody stands, and like if you're like me, you're a total prepper, and you kind of like, so you saving up some food, in case things. Are you? It's basically probing to see if somebody's a prepper or not, or if they're going to think you're a crazy person. Right. So she kind of starts probing, being like, hey, is anybody out there, preparing for the worst case scenario? Anybody want to, coordinate some stuff? And basically like coming out and saying like, oh, I'm a prepper now. And, and so he was talking to her and, asking a little bit more questions like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Somebody's that's the thing about moving to the country. You're right. Like everybody, all millennials want to move to the country, even like radical leftists, they all want to live off the grid and raise goats, right? But once you get there, there's something about being out of society that inevitably you kind of start not being so leftist anymore. You're kind of out of the inner city vibes, and you kind of not so beholden to like what your fellow barista thinks of you and this kind of stuff, and you tend to drift a little bit, if not left, at least to the more kind of prepper, freedom loving, kind of thing. And somebody asked like, oh yeah, interesting, why what's got you so in prepper mode? And she goes, well, Bill Gates is putting vaccines in the produce, and they're vaccinating the cows.
I'm sorry, I laugh. It's just funny to the transformation is
it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. And so I'm watching this neighbor go from, lovely person, but like blue-haired leftist to like full prepper, Bill Gates, anti-vaxxer. And it's just kind of so this is one example of someone close to me who seems to be a recipient of this more mainstream media initiation, which, as there's been several people kind of in our genre and kind of circling our genre who have talked about like, hey, all this initiation into conspiracy theoryism, this is actually not a good thing. Right? When the machine, the beast system, begins to initiate people into secret knowledge, right? This is leading in one direction. This is leading to a sort of, occult unfolding of social engineering. And when the mainstream media begins initiating people into the conspiracy theory mindset, we should all be very, very skeptical. We don't need to be skeptical of the conspiracy theories, but we should be, we should always be skeptical of conspiracy theories, but we need to be skeptical about what the plan is here. because they would not be initiating people into the sort of conspiracy theory camp without some big reason and purpose, and some big reason and purpose that will be unfolding very soon.
It's the externalization of the hierarchy.
It's exactly externalization of the hierarchy.
The world servers.
So Trump responded there, and of course, this was also asked to Carolyn Leavitt in the White House briefing room.
There are now 10 American scientists who have either gone missing or died since mid-2024. They all reportedly had access to classified nuclear or aerospace material. Is anybody investigating this to see if these things are connected?
I've seen the report, Peter. I haven't spoken to our relevant agencies about it. I will certainly do that and we'll get you an answer. If true, of course, that's definitely something I think this government and administration would deem worth looking into. So let me do that for you.
This was last week, I think. We didn't
Big
play
if
the clip,
true.
yeah.
Big if true, Gonz. Big if true.
Big if true, yeah. Is there anything else in the list here?
Well, Comer was asked about it as well.
Oh, that's right, Comer. Oh yeah, big time. Hold on, very quiet. Let me turn that back up here.
It does appear that there's a high possibility that something sinister is taking place here. This has been going on, obviously, for the last 3 years. So what I found in 3.5 years as chairman of the House Oversight Committee is sometimes government agencies don't do a good job of sharing information on situations like this. So we've asked all those agencies, the Department of Energy, NASA, the Department of War, to all share information with us so that we can see if we can put it together and find any missing links to try to solve what's going on here, because it's very unlikely that this is a coincidence. So Congress is very concerned about this. Our committee is making this one of our priorities now because we view this as a national security threat.
Okay, so it's a national security threat. Something sinister going on. These are words. These are serious words coming from House Oversight Committee chairman. So on one hand, we have a congresswoman saying, read the book of Enoch. And then we have the House Oversight Committee chairman saying, this is a national security threat to have these scientists or janitors associated with classified information to all go either missing or die. So,
yeah.
Interesting.
But no initiation, Gonz, would be complete with just government officials talking about it, as we know. There's one last layer, one last gatekeeper of the final level to peel away any resistance to a narrative unfolding. And of course, it's the betting markets.
Oh, of course. It's Polymarket. Yeah, Polymarket. Polymarket came out with this post yesterday. Just in, Representative Eric Burleson claims there exists a UFO craft, quote, too big to move, that may be included in some upcoming UFO files. Ooh.
Which is a classic in the UFO world. I don't know exactly the first time we heard this, but this is really one of the more fun ones that had some very strong, at least claims of documentation behind it, talking about the UFO that is so gigantic. I think there's some people who say it's in South Korea or something. It's not in the United States. Do we have the clip of Burleson talking about it? We do.
Yes.
Okay. Is this one where is that Burleson? That doesn't look like Burleson.
It was labeled Burleson. Let me check here.
I expect this release to include information about a UFO that you have talked about in the press before that's so big it can't be moved. So the country it's in, which is classified, is hiding it by building a structure around it.
I certainly hope it does include that. Look, President Trump should be applauded. He is the disclosure president. He's done an amazing job of disclosing some of our nation's secrets that they've held on to for decades. But from my experience, we're going to have to wrestle the intelligence community to the ground in order to get this information out of their hands, because they really do everything they can to try to block us in our efforts. I sent a letter that was co-led by Representative Luna, Burchett, and many Democrats even, that was requesting these exact same video files. And then 1 month later, Representative Luna decided to go public with that same request. I'm glad that she did, because at the end of the day, we've played nice, but at some point you have to stop playing nice. You have to be direct. And so I'm glad that the president has taken action. Hopefully he will follow up with an executive order. That's where we will really have some teeth into this, and that will send a message and give the strength to Tulsi Gabbard and her team to actually get these files wrestled away from intelligence.
Okay.
There you go. The UFO too big. You had to build a building around it.
Yeah. Where? What country? It sounds like it's not supposed to be in the U.S.
I remember it being in Korea or South Korea somewhere. I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember from when, I don't know,
maybe
10 years ago when I first heard about it.
Maybe all of China is just one big UFO that's been here all along. Or North Korea, maybe. North Korea.
That's why they keep China as an enemy,
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that's why North Korea got to keep North Korea as an enemy. And that's why Trump visited that one time, stepped over the non-militarized zone or whatever it was called.
Yeah, I remember, yes.
He went to, confirm that our quote unquote enemy with nuclear missiles, Kim Jong-un, was, keeping the UFO nice and clean, making sure it was polished up.
Yeah. Interesting. We'll have to see. Well, our President Trump, just to kind of put a bow on top of this topic here, he was speaking at Turning Point Action last week, and he said some things about this whole disclosure situation. Here we go.
As you remember, I recently directed the Secretary of War. How good is Pete Hegseth doing, by the way?
Woo, war.
To begin releasing government files relating to UFOs and unexplained aerial phenomena. And I figured you're proud because I know you people, you're really into that. I don't know if I am, but so I'm pleased to report today. I thought I'd save it for this crowd because you're a little bit out there, a little bit. That this process is well underway, and we found many very interesting documents, I must say. And the first releases will begin very, very soon. So you can go out and see if that phenomena is correct. You'll figure it out. Let me know. Let me know. But we've had a lot of questions. It's something that really captivates the mind. There's
okay, so
Phenomena.
It sounds like he's gonna throw like a piece of meat out there. We're all just gonna try to devour it, and it's our job to figure it out. What
Yeah.
they made it sound like.
Well, and of course, the silly thing to think in this case is that Trump doesn't know anything about it. I don't know. Hope it's random. I don't know. It's very silly to think that these are sort of authentic reactions to something that is not integrally a part of whatever big plan is underway.
Yeah. Well, again, we said that Trump was in a lot of today's episode, and that's not, we're not trying to include Trump in everything. He just, he's got his fingers in all kinds of stuff. And he also had this big moment over the weekend concerning PHARMAKEIA. And I don't know. I know you've talked about this before, Basil, and we've had these conversations before. But, what a day to bring it, I guess. But here's Trump talking from the Oval Office. He signed I guess it's an executive order, and it's for psychedelic treatments for mental trauma and stuff. So here's some of it here.
Today, I'm pleased to announce historic reforms to dramatically accelerate access to new medical research and treatments based on psychedelic drugs. In many cases, these experimental treatments have shown life-changing potential for those suffering from severe mental illness and depression, including our cherished veterans. Our veterans are having a tremendous hard time. The suicide rate, we have it down a little bit, but they are having a hard time.
So there you go. That's the news.
We do have. How much of this do you have clipped here? How much of this?
That was only about 30 seconds. I guess there's more here. Hold on. I'm trying to pull up some of my notes here because I don't. What else did we have?
There was a lot of stuff in there. There was Joe Rogan talking. There was
I didn't get the part where Joe Rogan talks a whole lot. I got the part where he laughs. I mean, Trump made Joe Rogan laugh. Do you want to see that? Do you want to see that moment?
I guess is that when he was telling the story about how Joe Rogan texted him about this?
A little bit, yeah. This is more. This clip I have is more about when Trump he's talking about lowering drug prices and how amazing Trump is, and then Joe Rogan laughs. It's a good podcast moment, I guess.
In my first term, for 28 years, drug prices went up, and I got it down 1/4 or 1/8%. I was so proud of myself. It's the only one that in 28 years got them down. And I had a news conference to explain how great I was. I said, I'm the greatest there ever was. I got it down 1/8%. Okay. I was very proud because it only went up for 28 years. It went up. Now I got it down a little bit.
Okay. So not shy, Joe Rogan. Laughing in the background.
Joe Rogan giving a laugh. Yeah.
Good old Rogan laugh. And then this is the clip where Trump is talking about how he would like to maybe try some of these drugs.
In 2024 study from Stanford University, 30 special operation veterans with traumatic brain injuries underwent, it's called ibogaine treatment. Ibogaine. Remember the name. Is that pronounced relatively properly, what you said? Yes. I don't want to get it wrong. Ibogaine, because it's so important, and experienced an 80 to 90% reduction in symptoms of depression and anxiety within 1 month. Can I have some, please? I'll take some. I'll take whatever it takes. I don't have time to be depressed. You know, if you stay busy enough, maybe that works too. That's what I do.
Okay. Stay
Pretty
busy,
fun.
everybody. Prevent depression.
So, this is very interesting because, of course, Pharmakeia is featured pretty prominently in End Times Prophecy. And Pharmakeia, for those who, might not have done a deep dive on it, this biblical concept of Pharmakeia, which includes a lot of things. It includes, the cutting of roots, the use of potions and lotions. The word drugs doesn't necessarily appear, but it's also a word used to refer to magic as well.
Yes.
And
so Revelation 18:23, it talks about Mystery Babylon being destroyed. And part of what the description is that the merchants will weep because they will no longer be able to deceive the nations with their sorcery. And the word sorcery is the Greek pharmakeia, and it means the use of medicine, drugs, and spells. So that's why we talk about pharmakeia.
Yeah, and of course, pharmakeia being where we get the word in English for pharmacy or pharmaceuticals.
Of course.
And it's always it's been a long conversation for a long time for Christians because, depending on how, brutal you want to get, technically even Advil would be considered pharmakeia. And so
True.
This is something that we've had the privilege and the enjoyment of discussing and sort of exploring for a long time. But pharmakeia also comes up very deeply and heavily in our things like our cultural research at Burning Man. And going through the years now, again, being too far ahead of the narrative, but the narrative always ends up catching up. Psychedelics particularly, and not just the use of psychedelics. I mean, you think of where psychedelics appear. We had psychedelics being introduced and used at Davos. So, elite ruling class circles. Of course, psychedelics are big in the UFO community. There are people and theories about how you can contact UFOs using psychedelics. As far as like the wielding of consciousness, there's also, of course, a lot of history in the 20th century occult. Aleister Crowley, all the occultists, the Telema people of the mid 20th century. Psychedelics are a big part of that sort of spiritual tradition, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. And of course, pharmaceuticals, things like big pharma. We went through a big overhaul of pharmakeia during COVID and beyond. And so, this one word, pharmakeia, that is so prominently placed throughout the Bible in a couple different places, but especially in end times prophecy, we're kind of keeping a lookout for what's going on. Where does this show up? And the what is it? Go back to that scripture. Who is it? Who's
the
sad?
merchants of the earth?
Merchants of the earth, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the merchants of the earth. Well, who is that? Is that corporations? Is that CEOs? Is that politicians? Who could be all of them? And we've also been following the political process of pharmakeia, which it comes in many forms, but especially psychedelics. And Joe Rogan's obviously there, a big psychedelics fan.
Yeah.
Is sort of whether he likes it or not, a sort of thought leader in the psychedelic space. We recently had that story about all the DMT guys getting kicked out of the DMT realm. We had the movement that we discovered and established at some lectures at Burning Man about how psychedelics need to make their way into American churches for spiritual awakening, and we saw that play out in culture. But there's also a part of the conversation that is, I think, admittedly difficult, which I've gone at length about, which is, well, if there is a legit, medicinal use, how do we feel about that, or what does that look like? Because, on one hand, I think, the potential to open up spiritual doors by using psychedelics or other substances has a lot of dangers to it. There's a lot of obvious dangers to the use of psychedelics. However, at the same time, because I have a heart, we are dealing with some pretty incredible PTSD, some damage to our soldiers. And by no means do I want, if there is a legit, if not cure, at least therapy to, really help people in a legit sense, I have a really hard time pushing back against that. Now, this executive order is about ibogaine. And ibogaine is an extraordinarily powerful psychedelic. It's so powerful that nobody even takes it recreationally. Like, it's not fun to take. I've never taken it, but from what everybody says about it's too powerful. Like, you don't take ibogaine and like go to a concert or something. And it can be very traumatic. But in places where this ibogaine research is happening, usually Mexico, if it comes to Americans and American veterans looking to just try something to get themselves out of the hell that they're in. Some pretty impressive numbers. Whether these numbers are, fudged or not, who knows? But this loosening of restrictions on pharmakeia is, as we always kind of knew it would be centered around the military and our veterans, because it's, that's especially for Trump and the conservative side of things. And hilariously, Trump, who is hated by everybody on the left, is the one who did what Obama said he would do and didn't do. He officially recategorized marijuana, so it's not as punishable as heroin. I don't know if this is deregulating or regulating ibogaine for powerful sort of psychedelic therapies. Of course, ketamine was made available during Trump's first term for therapies as well. So he has this long history. I mean, talk about merchants of the earth. Donald Trump being the one and only guy to actually make progress on, decriminalizing or at least regulating these, very powerful psychedelic substances for, of course, there's companies and businesses and corporations who are going to benefit from being the providers and things like this. And as we'll see, the merchants of the earth definitely benefited from Trump's announcement here. Let me see here. We did have this headline from CBS News. Trump signs executive order to research psychedelics, including ibogaine for mental, health treatment. President Trump has signed an executive order to ease research restrictions on psychedelics, including the drug ibogaine. I think there's a key there, research restrictions being the main thing. It's not like you can go to a gas station and buy ibogaine now. Which is used in some countries to treat post-traumatic stress disorder. Health officials, including Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and podcaster Joe Rogan, joined Mr. Trump in the Oval Office for the signing on Saturday. Again, same day that Anna Paulina Luna told everybody to read the Book of Enoch, was the same day he signed the...
there is that connection with...
totally.
PHARMAKEIA and of course, the Watchers teaching mankind the cutting of the root and sorcery and those things. So yeah, there's direct connection.
Yes, thank you for that. That should have been in the intro of this as well. PHARMAKEIA, whatever you think about it now, whatever form it takes whatever form it takes in biblical prophecy, it also appears in the Genesis 6 narrative back to the first book of Enoch, where Azazel and the other Watchers, these sort of rebellious angels, come down to teach humanity lots of things, making weapons, making armor, using makeup, metallurgy, these types of things. PHARMAKEIA was another one. So the whole medicine, drugs, sorcery being combined, sourcing from the Book of Enoch, when the Watchers come down and teach humanity how to do all the nasty things, or at least give us the tools to do all the nasty things ourselves.
Right. Very Trumpian. Like, I'll let you guys figure it out. I'll give you the documents.
Exactly. Very
you guys figure it
libertarian.
out.
Watchers are very libertarian.
Yeah. They didn't just give us the fish. They showed us how to fish. You see, it's very practical. I think it's hilarious, though, speaking of the merchants of the earth, Zero Hedge had this headline to go along with everything. Psychedelic stocks soar after Trump order. RBC says commercialization path could accelerate. So, I mean, I think we're just at the beginning of what Revelation 18:23 outlines. At the beginning of the merchants of the earth. You thought Big Pharma was big in enslaving mankind.
Right.
We haven't even gotten started. Like, if we're really commercializing the true psychedelics, whatever, untapped market of psychedelics into the greater population, that's a huge market. So, I mean,
and like everything with Trump, if you take a couple steps back, you see, whether you like it or not, that all the crazy things that he's been doing fit together seemingly for one purpose, and that you could take whatever, choose whatever purpose you want, zoom out, and you see it's not as random as he wants us to think or people think he is. But even the blowing up of the drug boats and the war on the cartels and the taking down of the narco state of Venezuela, and closing the grip of the drug trade, the illicit drug trade, right? And what we see happening step by step is Trump sort of taking down the entire black market drug infrastructure while raising up and handing that over to the sort of officially regulated corporate merchants of the earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of, and this is part of the sort of chaos magic of Trump, where he can do one thing and simultaneously do a totally other thing. Yes, maybe slowing the illicit drug trade, might be dismantling the international global drug cartels, and in the same hand, handing over the creation, the distribution, the et cetera, to the more sort of corporate network states, the international corporate merchants of the earth to take over. It's all business, baby.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of it. It all seems to be headed in that direction, and maybe that's why the scientists, the missing scientists list didn't include a pharmacy guy.
Yeah, they randomly included a pharmacy guy. They're like, this guy's in the UFOs, this guy's in the nuclear, this guy's in the space program, this guy is at a pharmaceuticals company. Like,
right?
Why are you adding him in there? That's weird.
Definitely connected. And by the way, as we were kind of doing this, I have a good candidate for maybe the next one, Basil.
Okay.
Because I did notice that, Amy Eskridge was 2022, I believe, her passing. So if we're going backwards, because now we're, I think the clip Burleson or somebody said 2023 or for the last 3 years or something. If we're going back to Amy Eskridge, now we're talking 2022. And if we go back even further, if we go back to 2021, there is an individual named Mark McCandlish who allegedly committed suicide on April 13th, 2021. And listen to this. He was an aerospace illustrator and designer whose work moved in alternative propulsion UFO reverse engineering circles. He died in Redding, California at Alt Propulsion Conference's materials. Alt Propulsion Conference materials document his public involvement in UFO reverse engineering and inertial propulsion and later flux liner in some presentations. So he wasn't like mainstream per se, but he was
What was
involved.
the name of his job? He was an illustrator?
Aerospace illustrator and designer. Yeah.
Huh, okay.
Yeah.
Not sure
And
what
the
an
reason why I bring him up,
designer
well,
is, but
I mean,
he's a candidate. He's a candidate.
and the reason why I'm also maybe putting him on the list as a potential is because Joseph P. Farrell, who is he's been very quiet. I don't know. Maybe you got to look for him to kind of see, find what he's up to recently. He's done brilliant research in the past when it comes to alternative ancient history and ancient technologies and stuff like that. Very anti-Christian, by the way. He was a patristic major, and he kind of takes on the whole perspective of the Canaanite view of who God or Yahweh is in that regard. So he's not friendly to the Christians. But he did publish this on May 17th, 2021, The Sad and Mysterious Death of Ufologist Mark McCandlish. So yeah, just throwing it out. Again, who knows? But
the timeline is right, unless there's anybody sooner, we could see this guy pop up. Let's write his name down. Let's keep track, because surely they will put out a 12th, and if we can call it beforehand, then people will think we're not so crazy.
No, people either think we are handlers or being handled ourselves, or give us way too much credit, which I don't know. That's not a great
Oh
thing.
yeah, Gonz. People give us way too much credit. We're just drowning in all the credit that everybody gives us, Gonz. That's
Maybe we should just start talking like Trump.
us.
Trump's he speaks highly of himself. Maybe we should just start doing that too, or just we did
lots
it.
of
We're
ways
so
to
good.
do it,
We're
but
amazing.
I feel like if we can call the next missing scientist, or I guess whatever illustrator and designer means.
I mean, if they're doing
if they're
pharmaceuticals
doing the
and janitors,
janitor,
the bar is lowering a little bit, So
all right. Well, let's keep an eye out. But what was this guy's name? We'll remember his name.
Let's see. Let me double check that. It's Mark McCandlish.
Mark McCandlish.
Mark
All right. Remember the name
McCandlish.
Mark McCandlish. We'll see if he makes it onto the Daily Mail missing scientist list.
And I do remember him from the secret space program days back in like 2014, 2015. He was very loud about the secret space program. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he's not a physicist or somebody maybe perhaps in the know in that, to that level. But hey, if they're stretching it to, people outside of just the science, then he can qualify as maybe added to the list at the very least. There's one more, but it's not a great one. I don't know about this one. I'll throw the name out there just because it's along the same lines. This person's name is Ning Li, Ning, last name Li, Li. This person was an anti-gravity, I think it's a she, anti-gravity historian, and she wrote a whole bunch of stuff about it. Yeah, and she was like
she American?
I think she was from China but lived in America. And she got hit by a car in like 2014 or 15 that kind of not disabled her, but it was very traumatic to the point where her husband like had a stroke and died the year after. And then she didn't pass away until 2021. But I think she was older, so it may not fit the paradigm. But it is someone who was talking about anti-gravity for years, and passed away. But again, they're older, so it doesn't really fit.
That's the thing that Amy kind of throws a little bit of a wrench in there, is because I don't know, because it's not like all these people were whistleblowers, right? They weren't. It's not like they all had podcasts and they were trying to like tell the truth. They were just dudes doing their job, right?
Right. Yeah.
The Amy one's interesting because she did come out and talk about it a little bit more. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got one more development in the transition into the beast system.
Sorry, before you go on, she was a physicist. Ning Li was a physicist.
Right.
Known for her public lore for work tied to gravity manipulation superconductors. And she vanished, apparently. So suspicious.
Like you do.
Like you do.
Well, the timing is right, 2021. So we'll see. We don't have to wait too long before they report the next one.
Yeah.
All right. One next fascinating development, including a man and a project that we have followed for a very long time. Again, we are a little bit too ahead of the narrative when we found this, but a fun update, Gonz, into WorldCoin and Sam Altman.
No debate. Must have digital ID, and you must bow down to the orb.
You must bow to the orb. Okay.
I see, and it's the beast system. Sorry, I was
waiting. Sorry, I didn't
here to play another one. I don't want to step on it again.
Oh yeah, the beast system.
Speaking of the beast system, beast system.
There we go. Okay, along with all the UFOs, along with all of this, we are still marching steadily into the dystopian beast system technocratic future with digital ID, CBDC, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, nothing is more exciting and no man is more interesting when it comes to stepping into the era of biblical prophecy than Sam Altman himself, of course, famous for being the CEO of OpenAI. But kind of before that, he was most known for something else, and that was WorldCoin. WorldCoin was a cryptocurrency that was the project, the dystopian, even aesthetically dystopian project to bamboozle people into creating their biometric digital ID and get rewarded with cryptocurrency. This was even before 2020. This was before he was known for OpenAI. But even after getting banned from several countries for playing with people's data and biometrics and trying to skirt around government rules about, third world data gathering and stuff, he's still going. And this is coming from Wired. And of course, y'all will remember that in order to gather the biometrics on everybody, he created I guess patented, but a proprietary, almost mythical device in order to gather biometrics. The technology exists. He could probably do what he wants to do with an iPhone, but instead he had to create a sort of magical object, a totem of the dystopian future. And we call it the orb. It was about a basketball-sized silver chrome orb with an eyeball. And it was just perfect because in order to join Sam Altman's cryptocurrency digital ID future, you had to kneel before the orb, stare into the eye of the orb as it scans your face, your retinas, creates a digital ID for you and then pays you, 50 world coin for bowing down and joining the beast. Early adopters are often rewarded, Gonz. These were the
I like the world.org. They got the domain. Find the orb. There's a map. You can see if there's an orb near you.
Right. And you'll notice it's pretty much, there's, the United States, Europe, a little bit in South America, but totally kicked out of the Middle East, totally kicked out of Africa.
Africans did not like that.
Yeah, there's a whole list. I think they might even mention the list he's banned from. But here's the headline. Gazing into Sam Altman's orb now proves you're human on Tinder.
Oh, great. That's
Sam Altman's
fantastic.
iris scanning humanity verifying world project announced at an event in San Francisco on Friday that Tinder users around the globe can now put a digital badge on their profiles, signaling to potential suitors that they're a real human, provided they've already stared into one of the startup's glassy white orbs. Oh yeah, they changed it from a chrome orb to a white orb. And allow their eyes to be scanned. The announcement follows a pilot project for Tinder verification that World previously conducted in Japan. It's always somewhere else. He always starts somewhere else. The global Tinder expansion is one of the biggest tests yet for World. The companies bet that everyday consumers will be willing to sign up for biometric verification services to use internet applications. In this case, dating apps or hookup apps. Yeah, just in case anybody out there doesn't know what Tinder is, it is like the quintessential kind of swipe left, swipe right, go hook up app. And now this is great because, you never know if you're trying to hook up with a robot or an AI or something. It's important to it's this interesting initiation into the globalized biometric online verified CBDC beast system future, but it's done as a gateway to connecting with another human, to finding love, right? Like, how desperate do we need somebody to be in order to get them to give us their biometric information? Which was why he got kicked out a lot of the third world countries, right?
Right.
Because he was offering WorldCoin, like cryptocurrency, and so he'd go to like Nigeria. It's just like these really
very exploitative.
Very exploitative. He'd go to India or Nigeria, or he'd find like all the poor people he can, and he'd say, "Hey, I'll give you money if you let me scan your face," which was explicitly exploitative for anyone paying attention to it, but so exploitative that those governments of those countries kicked him out and banned him from
usually the governments get a cut, but not even the cut was enough. I mean, this must have been really bad if the governments were like, hey, no, let's stop this.
These are either to exploit.
Either Altman was super cheap and the government didn't get their cut, or it was so egregious that even them, even the corrupt leaders of those small nations were like, no, we're not going to exploit our people in that way. We get to exploit the people, not you.
And I see this as no different because, I mean, come on, let's look at the situation that we're in. Gen Z, even some millennials who are maybe a little bit younger. I mean, just in general, the Gen Z is not, I guess, having the relations that previous generations are having. People are more separated than other. People are, I mean, especially as a result of kind of girl boss feminism. You have all these women coming to a certain age, realizing they've been lied to, and now they can't find a man. And it's basically the worst possible time to try to find love or participate in some sort of dating scene. So people are really, really desperate. And if there's anything that Sam Altman is really good at, it's identifying desperate people and using their desperation to gather their biometric ID information. Now,
Right.
I'm not on dating apps or anything, so I don't know exactly what's going on there, but apparently it's bad enough that people are going to be willing to scan their eyeballs forever to be written into the counterfeit ledger of life in the biometric ID situation, just to have, just an inch more ground and just a tiny bit more of a, possibility of meeting a real person. It's really sad. Then it goes, it gives some history. Founded in 2019 by Altman and Alex Blanca, the World Project was designed for a future where the internet is overrun with highly capable AI agents that make it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to tell who is really human. Well, yes, he was on it.
He knew the problem because he was creating it.
Yeah, that was always the thing too. When it first came out in 2019, and that's what they were saying, like, there's going to be too much AI. You're not going to tell who's human and who's AI. It's like, yeah, because you're making that happen. You're creating the disease and then selling the cure. There's no more perfect example of someone creating the disease and selling the cure than Sam Altman in the past.
Problem reactions. He's the problem, the reaction, and the solution all at once.
So he is
package.
Personally incentivized to make AI as damaging as possible.
Right.
He says, as companies like OpenAI, where Altman is CEO, and Anthropic push AI agents into the mainstream, the problem world was built to solve feels increasingly urgent. I love how they don't bother to make the connection.
I know. They're just like, wait a minute. This is the guy that he launched the first AI product into the public.
Yeah, like a perfect, if there was any shred of journalistic integrity in this writer over at Wired, of which it's Wired, so we know that there's not. Like, just say it. Just say it. He's creating the system. He's creating the problem that he's trying to solve.
Yeah.
And then it goes into kind of the history. I kind of gave you the history of World and WorldCoin. Talks about them getting kicked out of places. I mean, but this is really... Yeah, you got something?
No, it just talks about the concert kit that they're getting ready to launch, which lets artists reserve concert tickets for verified humans.
Yes, that was
squarely. Yeah.
That was another part of this. And it's not just targeting human beings who want to find and date other human beings. He's also creating, getting into the music industry. I mean, nobody has been a victim of extortion and technological replacement than the musician industry, where if there's all that Ticketmaster drama, there's all this nonsense going on in the music industry where AI is coming in and ruining everything in many different ways. Again, a desperate industry, a desperate group of people. This is the perfect target for him to come in and say, no, you can't go to this concert. You can't buy a ticket to a concert unless you kneel and give your biometric
kneel to the orb. Which is crazy because we have the technology to verify our humanity and not kneel and stare into an orb. That's the part that really drives me crazy. It's like, we can do it. You need I don't know. You probably don't even need that much education of the public.
Having a driver's license is called having a driver's license.
But driver's license,
This is America, so having a driver's license is illegal and racist. Asking for somebody's ID is a racist, thing to do.
I'm sure driver's license, not scams, but counterfeits are pretty. I mean, I guess they have measures against that now, but
who's you're not gonna use a fake ID to go to a concert is the thing.
Oh, come on. That was a whole thing when I was growing up.
Well,
we were all from Hawaii, you remember?
21 and up, but the point isn't we need you to stare into the orb to make sure you're 21. We cannot believe you're a human until you stare into the orb. And of course, in case there's somebody new who hasn't made the connection themselves, digital ID, holding people's biometrics, the essence of who they are, on a digitized blockchain to make it confirm that they are or not indeed allowed to buy or sell or participate in the economy, is just a little bit too reflective for comfort than the mark of the beast or the identified technocratic beast system in the Book of Revelation.
I'm just looking up some U.S. immigration and U.S. customs data that over the last, I guess, 5 or 6 years, since like 2020, 2021, 2024, ICE has seized large shipments of fake driver's licenses. It's a major part of their effort to stall counterfeit IDs in America. It's probably for the whole situation with the immigration and all that. But
yeah, of course,
it's a thing. It's a problem apparently. But yeah, why don't they're not willing to bend the knee to the orb though? That's
not yet.
It's almost going too far. Not yet. I know it's gonna.
There is
what social conditions? I wonder how many of Sam Altman's prompts to his own AI is like, what condition will get 90% of humanity to kneel to the orb? It's
totally.
Well, prompts.
And listen to this too. Here's an article. There's a couple paragraphs up from the bottom, and they give an interesting. I don't know how to say. Let me just. Sorry, I just lost it for a second. That's really annoying. Here it is. While World is trying to solve the online bot problem, the one the problem they created.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to block AI agents from using the internet altogether. Yes, of course. They're the ones who created it. Okay. Earlier this year, the startup rolled out tools that link AI agents to a human's digital identity, which are designed to allow a limited number of bots to operate on a human's behalf online.
Yes.
Tools for Humanity says it's working with Shopify and Vercel to help ensure human-backed agents can use these services. So even at the same time, he's taking over the internet with AI agents. He's creating the cure biometrics to allow humans to operate on the internet because of all the AI agents. And at the same time, trying to create the tools that basically gives your identity, hands over, you stare into the orb, scans your face, writes your name in the counterfeit ledger of life, then takes that identity and gives it to an AI agent so that AI agent can go out and do stuff on your behalf, which totally destroys the reason for the identity in the first place.
Well, it mentions Vercel. I recognize the name because 2 days ago, Hack at Vercel sends crypto developers scrambling to lock down API keys.
Yeah,
breach tied to compromised AI tool may have exposed credentials used by app front ends. The user facing a layer that connects Web3 wallets and trading interfaces to back end services. Vercel themselves at the Vercel.com website. Vercel, April 2026, security incident. We've identified a security incident that involved unauthorized access to certain internal Vercel systems. Maybe this is like a early false flag to integrate into WorldCoin. Like you can't operate these agents unless you are verified by the orb. Orb truly becomes this gateway of like, yes, you're verifying your humanity so you can unleash your bots onto the network. It's like it's this weird transhuman transaction.
And Zephyr brings up the dead internet theory, which is always fun because we just talked about how officially half of all things being posted on the internet is AI created, right? So 50% of everything you see on the internet is from AI agents at this point. And, dead internet theory, a long, long theory that states, and this is, 10, 20 years ago, dead internet theory was being talked about, where when you're on the internet, you think you're interacting with people, but there's no way to actually tell. And some people were pretty convinced that basically 99% of what you see on the internet is fake, is just a simulacra that other people are there, which is pretty old thing. But then we're like moving into this new era. We're like dipping into dead internet theory, and then it's resurrected. Like, okay, no, it's not that everybody's dead or there's no humans, but now with AI agents working on behalf of humans, like officially, legally working under their like, their capital, their legal entity. This is you attaching your legal entity as a person in the corporation of America to an AI. So there's like, some accountability there. You're not even on the internet with fake, it's not just AI, it's not just robots, it's not just dead internet theory, but it's like zombie, and it's like this is like necromancer, necro internet theory.
The Gollum internet theory. Yeah,
the people are connecting their identity to their AI agents, and then their cyber golem goes off to act on their behalf on the internet. It's really bizarre.
I'm looking at this picture. I'm at the world.org website here, and I think this is in Korea or something, but they have a little, they got the orb as sort of a, thing, but they have this circular, it looks like a little mini temple where the orb
like
sits
a
in.
cage almost.
Yeah, like a little cage thing that, it's almost like a little tabernacle for the orb.
That looks like something you'd see at Burning Man. That's Burning Man. You just take that, put it out in the desert. You're like, what is this doing here? Oh, just handing over my.
I'm surprised I'm surprised the world, the orb hasn't explicitly had a booth.
That's a great point. I could definitely see it happening someday. It's a little too.
It's not. It's against the vibe.
Decommoditization is kind of their thing. So, they couldn't be like, scan your eyeball and we'll give you 50. Oh, the funny thing is, they used to, back in the day, give you 50 whatever world coin, right? They would give you cryptocurrency. But now it has also expanded its offerings to include Netflix and Apple TV subscription files.
Great. All right.
Give you a free month of Netflix if you hand over your digital identity. Take the mark of the beast. You'll get a free month of Apple TV.
Oh, I'm getting tired.
Yeah, I know. That's it. I mean, that's the show. We did it. We nailed it. So there you go, folks. Now, remember, here's the thing. You will never need to have, at least if it's up to us, digital ID in order to disconnect oneself from the merchants of the world, to eschew, turn away from, indeed, perhaps even flee from the global theology of advertising, of marketing, of mind control, of social engineering. No. None of that here, because we're on the value for value model. And we've got a couple more handful of people who have come in to support today's show with their time, their talent, or their treasure. It's a pretty light list the past couple weeks. And you know what I love about the value for value model, Gonz, is that the value for value index is real. Whenever I start getting down in the dumps about producership, all I got to do is listen to No Agenda and hear them complain about producership. And I go, oh,
is it as bad as us?
Yes, apparently it's
they shame people real bad, don't they? I mean, I haven't listened in a little bit, but yeah,
I
remember them shaming people.
There's no better of a indicator of how things are going on out in the world than the value for value index, because it's purely voluntary. There's no incentives or pressures or anything like that. It's purely voluntary. So it's like just this pure statistic about how people are feeling out there. But if you want to produce a show with your time, your talent, your treasure, it's because you realize that this show and everything attached to it will not just could not, but will not exist without the participation of the value for value model. So if you get any value at all, if you've ever gotten any value, you can bring it back, put it back into the show. You can use your talent, make some art, make some music. You can come in, volunteer to help us out with stuff, or you can support us financially by going to canarycry.support. And we had 2 producers come in under the executive producer amount, starting with producer William L.
William L.
William, thank you very much. Billy comes in for 7777.
Ooh, a row of sevens.
7777.
Thank you.
And Willie L says, keep up the good work, fellas. Thank you very much, William.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We have Rebecca T. Producer Rebecca T. She's back, and she comes in for 1234, 1234.
1234. Thank you, Rebecca T. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Rebecca T is on a 16 episode streak.
She's on a streaky.
Yeah, she's on a streak.
Yep.
And that's that for today. Of course, remember, go to cagerattlercoffee.com. Great way to dip a toe into the value for value model and not only support the show, but support other Canarians just like you.
Cage Rattler Coffee, where value for value never tasted so good.
You know, I want to plug the Canary Cry text message alert system real quick. Okay. If you haven't done it yet, take out your phone, everybody. Open up your text messages and text the word canary to 877-740-3226. This is great because, of course, you've probably noticed that you probably don't get notifications for the show when we go live. All right. They don't like notifying people. It's our cross to bear. But if you want to make sure that you never miss a show, or at least it's your choice to miss a show, you can text the word canary to 877-740-3226. And I personally will send you a little text message before every show throughout the week. Of course, Monday and Wednesday for CCNT, but also Thursdays for Canary Cry Clubhouse. And the fun part is you can text us back at that number. You can text back whatever you want, questions, comments, links, whatever. But one thing people do, and just so you know, I can't text you back on that number. It's a one-way thing. But if you do text us something, keep an ear out because I usually mention it on the show, or at least as many as I can. We have a praise report coming in from 423. 423 texts and says, hey, brothers, I have a praise report about my wife's anemia tests. Yeah, we prayed for 423's wife a couple of weeks ago about some health problems. I have a praise report about my wife's anemia test. The test came back negative for internal bleeding or cancer. Praise God.
All right.
I just wanted to thank you too and the Canarians from the bottom of my heart for all the prayers. I love y'all and the Canarians. So thankful to be part of this community. Well, God bless you, 423.
Yeah,
praise
thank you.
God that those tests came back not horrible. Love that.
Yes.
And of course, we'll pray for just the problem to go away, that God's presence surrounds your wife and just aligns her body with whatever his will is. So
yep,
hope she does better.
absolutely. Yep. Great news.
856 texts and says, Revelations 2:17, he who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who conquers, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone with a new name written on the stone that no one knows except the one who receives it. Fun verse by itself, but I just noticed, although Christ is speaking, he says, quote, hear what the Spirit says. Okay, there you go.
Good point.
Jesus referencing perhaps the other people of the triune God there. Not a whole lot of text come in today, but there you go. It's kind of a bummer. I can't tell what's going on. I hope that somebody isn't being mean and giving our phone number to spammers or something. But we started for the first time getting some really annoying spam texts in there. So
it was probably
hopefully-
Sam Altman. You must stare into the orb to receive Canary Cry text.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we had what seemed to be some weird operations on our streams lately, where kind of
Yeah.
out of nowhere for no reason, regarding nothing except for just negativity.
People name calling. It's been a while since we've gotten name calls.
Yeah,
it's good reminisce.
And we pair that with some weird numbers on our last couple episodes. It's possible that there's some sort of operation to, come just be nasty to
Mess
us for
with
no
us,
reason.
yeah. Be mean.
And so, of course, my first negative reaction was, oh boy, somebody's given our number, they're trying to spam us out because we have to pay for the messages that we receive. So I don't know if that's true or if somebody just grabbed it or something, but don't do that, please. Thank you. That's that. There you go. That's what I'll read for today. Again, text the word canary to 877-740-3226.
Yep. Do it.
Let's see here. We had some producers come in under the $7.77 mark. I got you.
Okay.
I'm tracking your streak. We will thank you on Wednesday. And other than that, are you good? Are we good? Ready to land the plane?
I did want to mention one thing. Somebody in the chat was saying that Joseph P. Farrell is Orthodox Christian, and I did look it up, and I believe he was part of the Anglican Church or Eastern Orthodoxy or something, but he has since, in 2015, he quote unquote left institutional Christianity. He hasn't necessarily renounced Christ, but again, if you go read Two-Faced Yahweh or Two-Faced God, I forget the name of the title of the book, but it was about the two faces of Yahweh. It's not nice to the Old Testament God there, and it's he describes himself, or some have described him, as more of a heterodox Christian. He hasn't necessarily renounced Jesus, but he's not really into any kind of institutional church or even biblical things. So
who is this?
The Joseph P. Farrell, the researcher who wrote about the death of one of the UFO researchers that we mentioned. So, I mean, he's written, again, he wrote great, he's written a bunch of books, and he's done great research on alternative history and alternative tech and UFOs and stuff adjacent. So he's somebody that I respect as a researcher. But yeah, as far as when I came into contact with his material, he did not appear to, at the very least, openly be a Christian, at least in the, at least as I understand. But who knows? I'm not in the guy's brain.
I love that that topic when people are like, I don't know, they're atheist or they're having some sort of crisis of faith or something, and they go, "Hey, wait a second, the Old Testament Yahweh is different from the New Testament Yahweh. It's like he's got two different things. He's mean in one and he's nice in the other." It's like, yeah, that's like the most basic theological tenet of Christianity: the Old Covenant and the New Covenant. It's almost like humanity had two different agreements with how to relate to God. It's almost like the entirety of Christianity is about realizing that and being grateful that we're not in the Old Testament covenant anymore.
Hey, here it is.
Wow,
Apocalypse
you're a
Theater,
genius.
Volume 1, Yahweh, the Two-Faced God, Theology, Terrorism, and Topology. So, yes.
Nice.
Coming
So
at it from
cool.
very
So,
academic perspective.
again,
Yeah, so there's that.
middle school atheism. If I'm just ragging on the guy who I'm sure it's
Yeah, I
great.
know.
I'm sure it's a great
Hey, be
argument.
careful. We might want to interview him on some of this stuff.
Yeah,
later on, so,
I'd love to talk to him, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's always one of those things that, like, when you see atheists arguing online or something,
Right.
they'll say it as if it's like a death knell in Christianity. Oh, I'm gonna get you guys. Look at this. Old Testament God is mean. New Testament God is nice. It's like, yeah, that's the point. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. I think that's it. I did want to play a clip. I just want to play this clip for good old times, just to remember where we've been. And this wasn't that long ago, folks. I believe this was 2021. So we're going on 5 years ago. Do you recall this? I can't believe this actually happened, Basil. This took place in 2021.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? I got vaccinated. You're saying I could get this? These delicious fries? Wait a minute. But there's also a burger element to this? Let me check with Bill Neathart. Is it too early in the day to eat a burger? No. This can be breakfast? Okay. I want you to look at this and think about, again, some people love hamburgers, some don't. Really want to respect all ways of life. But if this is appealing to you, just think of this when you think of vaccination. Vaccination.
I can't believe that really happened, Basil. I still think
Is this
crazy.
in the context of WorldCoin giving sad incentives to join the beast system?
I don't know, but this was Mayor de Blasio back in 2021, promoting the vaccine for COVID and free food, free fries and a burger.
Yeah, I mean that's what they think of us, folks. They think you'll give away your biological information for digital ID for 1 month of free Netflix, and they think you'll take their experimental DNA pharmaceutical for a cheeseburger. They're very clear about what they think of us.
It's true. Anyway, just a little throwback. Just a reminder of what we've been through as a show, Basil, as a podcast, and as a quasi ministry.
People as a species.
Canary Cry.
We have someone to thank. Again, you can produce a show with your time, your talent, your treasure. I'd love to thank our time stampers for their very valuable time.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
Jade Bouncerson came in and did the timestamps for episode 932. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jade Bouncerson. And of course, a big thank you to Jam for heading up the Telegram channel. Thank you to Adam42 for heading up the Discord channel. Go to canarycry.party. You'll see the invites for the Discord and the Telegram channel. Join, get in there, say hi, make some friends. You got to find a place to find some sanity between shows. Thank you to Joe for all your feedback. Thank you to Clank for clanking around. And of course, Sir Ike for everything that you do for us. And you, dear listener, go ahead and share the show. And we'll promise to try to not be so sarcastic. We understand. It has been a struggle for us.
Yeah, I think it's just, we're jaded a little bit,
Well,
I think it's part of
between trying to have a light heart with going through all these things, having done it for now 14 years, where it's hard to shock us, and almost everything that happens, we have a long history of researching, looking into, predicting these sorts of things. So when they come up and they happen, there's a humor to it. There's a lightness to it. It's just, it's hard to take us by surprise these days. Between all these things, there's always been a little bit of a barrier to entry for new people. And not to mention the inside jokes, not to mention all the Canarian vocabulary, not to mention even, what people really hate, and they've always hated this for 15 years, is the lightheartedness talking about serious topics.
Yeah, people don't like
people
that,
are just
especially
not
if they're
there.
new.
Yeah,
if you're new to the entire genre, you want all the information, and then when you hear people laughing or kind of joking about it, I can understand they're like, wait a minute, how come they're not taking it seriously? Yeah.
High stakes mode, there's still that sort of phase of fear and discovery, and you take things, and that's good. That's part of the cycle. Everybody has got to go through.
It's a cycle. It is a
but
cycle.
eventually you'll come back and you'll appreciate the more lightheartedness. But yes, of course, sarcasm, famously the lowest form of humor, and we should strive to be better. But I hope if there's anybody new listening, come back again. Promise we'll do it. We'll do it better next time. And of course, go share the show. Share the show with your friends, share it with your family, post it all over the place. Go let your pastor know what's going on here. Go give out free cheeseburgers for people to listen to the show. I mean, that's really what we need to do. But whatever it is, we call it rattling cages, and all you got to do is walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
Oops, wrong button. I'm sorry. Here we go.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
Every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah.
Why
Gonz,
is
you
it
got
playing?
any
Here we go.
words?
Wait, why isn't the music playing? There we go.
It's playing.
Yes, we have on the way out, you will hear Little Owen's new track. Thank you, Little Owen, for sending us some, again, highly produced music. The Night is Far Spent, scripture song based on Romans 13, verses 10 through 12. So it will play right after this jingle. So there you go.
That's right. And he did that because he's producing for the show, and he went to canarycry.art. Go to canarycry.art, upload your art there. It goes into our nice organized little spreadsheet. We'd love to feature it on the show. Doesn't matter what your art is, make it for the show, by the show, send it in. We'd love to feature it. All right, everybody, we'll be back on Wednesday with another Canary Cry news talk. Make sure to tune in then. But until then, think outside the cage.
Goodbye.
Give me a break. It will kill.
Armageddon's on the way.
He's a Satanist from one of the Satanist churches here where they sacrifice babies.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Bye!
Love work is no will to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. And that knowing the time, now it is high time to awake out of sleep. And I, knowing the time, that now it is high time to wake out of sleep. And now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. And knowing the time, and Now it is high time to wake out of sleep. Now is our salvation nearer when we believe. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Night is far spent, the day is at hand.
Fun fact, I believe it was another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
We'll hunt you down and make you pay.
You're moving up with lots of charm. Come on, man, you're just an arm. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl. Flippy, don't take my girl. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl now. Please don't take my girl. I'm history, you're nuts and bolts. Perhaps 33 megavolts. Whoa. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl. Flippy, don't take my girl. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl now. Enslave my kids and book a new career. Don't you take her, it's not the year. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl. Flippy, don't take my girl. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl now. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl. Flippy, don't take my girl. Hey, Flippy, please don't take my girl now.
Let's invite some dudes over in fellowship tonight.
When the news of the day gets to feeling like a maze, it's okay, don't be afraid if you don't know what to say. Canary cry waits. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on, I have my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary cry waits. Canary cry waits. Oh, canary cry waits. Oh, world's changing every day, each and every way you turn, there's another thing to learn. Reading in between the lines, thanking Jesus for our lives, and nice to see His glory shining like the sun. Run the race until it's done. Come on, everyone. Canary cry waves. Oh, canary cry waves. When your brain's in a haze and the headline days, come on, I have my way. I can help you out the cage. Canary cry waves.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Canary cry